One indiscriminate day, the world was plunged into catastrophe. People were forced underground and had to rely on the vast subway system to survive. This is how the story of Metro Royale begins. And so, welcome! After the catastrophe, the world was changed forever. New buildings popped up all over the surface, and a myriad of factions no one had ever heard of before sprung forth. The world underground kept developing, growing increasingly complex even as danger lurked in every corner. Some areas even saw the arrival of never-before-seen monsters. To survive in this harsh environment, you must arm yourself and gear up, scour the world for supplies, and eliminate enemies for their loot. Then make your way to the return point and evacuate within the allotted time. After evacuating, you can exchange your on-hand supplies for wealth to purchase even more advanced weapons and equipment. Become even stronger. In times like these, people will do anything to gain an advantage. That's why, when you're out collecting supplies, besides looking out for the various factions, stay vigilant against other players' attacks. If you get eliminated, they'll be able to loot your supplies. However, don't be discouraged. In this place, you'll have like-minded comrades to support you. You will experience the hardships of growth together as you gradually transform into mighty heroes. Are you all ready to face this dangerous yet thrilling new world? Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing Metro Royale modes to help you get to know the features and gameplay of each mode. In Metro Royale, there are 4 modes: the basic map's basic mode and undercover mode, and the advanced map's advanced mode and assault mode. In basic mode, players can open crates or eliminate enemies in the map to get supplies and loot, then reach the return point to evacuate and take home the loot. Basic mode can be a great training ground to help players get familiar with the map environment and resource allocation. And if you don't evacuate safely, no need to worry. Although being eliminated in basic mode will cause your supplies and loot to be dropped, you won't lose your equipment. Activating undercover mode requires an undercover agent ID. Players don't need to bring their own equipment, as they will be undercover and disguised as bandits in the map. Bandits in the map won't initiate attacks on players. This allows players to freely travel between different areas, open crates to collect supplies, without bandits getting in your way. But if players actively attack and eliminate a bandit, their identity will be exposed. Do keep in mind that undercover equipment is weak, so stay vigilant against other players. Activating advanced maps requires a certain loadout value. Compared to basic maps, advanced maps are more abundant in supplies and have more diverse gameplay. Radiation zones can only be found in advanced maps and are full of supplies, which attracts lots of players. Many enemies are also stationed there, making for intense combat. Players eliminated in advanced mode have a certain probability of dropping their equipment, leading to high risk and high rewards. Activating assault mode also requires a certain loadout value. When entering assault mode, players don't need to bring their own equipment and will enter a match that is already underway with other players. Enemies in the map won't initiate attacks on players, but players that actively attack and eliminate them will have their identity exposed. Players eliminated in assault mode won't lose the equipment they had before the start of the match, and players who evacuate safely will obtain additional rewards. And since advanced maps are abundant in supplies, playing assault mode is a great opportunity to cash in on the low risk and high reward. That's it for the 4 Metro Royale modes. Choose the mode that best suits you and enjoy the fun of different modes. Welcome to Metro Royale Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Frontline Confrontation map. Frontline Confrontation is a Metro Royale map suitable for rookies. This is where the Steel Front and the Cobras once fiercely fought. Members of both factions have remained even after the ceasefire. Due to the urban areas of Frontline Confrontation being relatively spread out, there is a lower chance of encountering other players when collecting supplies. The overall pace of this map is relatively relaxed. However, the terrain being mostly flat results in a very open view. Most areas only offer trees or rocks as cover. Thus, you'll need to be extra careful of enemies when moving about and evacuating. That's why many players opt for the underground routes. Frontline Confrontation has 5 underground areas, 2 subway lines, a tunnel, a storage vault, and an armory. Be aware that enemies hiding in the dark underground areas are difficult to detect. Those who wish to safely explore the underground areas should bring a night vision helmet, night vision goggles, or a thermal sight scope to see enemies in the dark. Since Frontline Confrontation doesn't have a radiation zone and urban supplies are spread out, those wishing to collect supplies quickly can go to the underground storage vault connected to Battle Line. After scavenging the surface, head deeper underground to search for more supplies. Furthermore, Frontline Confrontation has 2 password-locked doors, located at Tribe and Yasnaya PD. They must be opened using password letters of the corresponding color. Password letters are commonly found in the file cabinets or file packages. The supply crates behind the password-locked doors contain valuable items that can be sold and are important resource points. Of course, you can also challenge the bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the Frontline Confrontation map, bosses also randomly spawn. These bosses have high health and varied attacks. Before challenging them, make sure to have enough ammo and consumables. When fighting a boss, utilize the cover of your surroundings or move quickly to dodge attacks. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Frontline Confrontation map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. The old blockade zone was formerly a military-restricted area, but now 2 evil forces divide the land. If Frontline Confrontation could be considered as a new player's tutorial, then Old Blockade Zone would be their first real adventure into the underground. Old Blockade Zone is more abundant in supplies than Frontline Confrontation. However, accessing the Old Blockade Zone's advanced mode also has a higher loadout requirement. Old Blockade Zone is a dense urban area with tightly packed buildings. While collecting supplies, it's common to encounter other players, so don't let down your guard while exploring. Of course, you can also move around via the underground routes. Although Old Blockade Zone only has 1 subway line, it's vast and complex, connecting multiple areas of the underground. Of those areas, the deserted base is a dark zone. Dark zones have lots of supplies, but are also shrouded in danger. Night vision equipment is a must. Continue following the subway line to reach the Radiation Zone. The Radiation Zone has the best rewards, but also the most risk. It contains valuable supplies, but is full of radiation and danger. When entering, be ready to face radiation and enemies. Besides the fast procurement of supplies in the Radiation Zone, Old Blockade Zone also has 3 password-locked doors, blocking you from some high-value sellable items. They're located in the barracks, snake pit, and the underground garage. Password letters of the corresponding color must be used to open the door and obtain the supplies. To obtain better supplies and equipment, you will need to challenge and eliminate bosses. Apart from the 2 permanent bosses marked on the map, there are also a few points that randomly spawn invasion bosses that provide more opportunities to obtain equipment. That's all for this intro to the Old Blockade Zone map. Go explore it yourself. Welcome to Metro Royale, Rookie Manual. Today, we'll be introducing the Misty Port map. Misty Port was originally a small portside town with a pleasant climate, but a few incidents left it a desolate area that is now restricted. Only 2 major forces remain, competing for resources. Misty Port's main activity area is 1,700 by 900 square meters. It has rich and complex terrain, and although the urban resource points are scattered, there are many zip lines around the map connecting to the subway line, allowing you to get around quickly. Because of this, Misty Port's overall battle pace is quite fast and intense. The 2 boss spawn points act as gathering points for battles. Compared to other maps, Misty Port's underground isn't as dark and night vision equipment isn't as necessary. Although the subway line is very long and spans the entire map, those wanting to quickly collect supplies will have to go to the Radiation Zone, the mine warehouse. The mine warehouse is located in the upper right side of the map. Many mutated enemies lurk there, and the large warehouse lab at the center randomly spawns a mutant boss Variant F who uses fire, or Variant P who spews venom. These mutants guard the warehouse's valuable supplies. Compared to the two previous maps, the high-value sellable items in Misty Port are more common. To quickly get these supplies, you can skip opening crates in the radiation zone and head to the 3 password-locked doors instead. Obtain password letters of the corresponding colors to open them, and obtain the loot within. There are 2 fixed bosses in Misty Port, Firejoy and Fire Roy, that use fire attacks. When challenging them with teammates, spread out as much as possible. Also, be aware that there is chance in each match for the bosses to become reinforced. The bosses can then transform into special bosses that use drones and shields, Handsome Jesse or Handsome Pete. When facing off against them with teammates, make sure to focus your fire. Defeating these powerful enemies provides a chance to get better equipment. That's all for this intro to the Misty Port map. Go explore it yourself.
Introducing PUBG Mobile's Metro Royale. Aside from the classic Battle Royale mode, now it also includes the Metro Royale game mode. Metro Royale tests players' shooting and evacuation strategies. Make sure to load up your inventory with equipments, ammunition, and healing supplies before entering the battlefield. There are 2 extraction points on the map. Plan your route strategically to maximize the extraction of your loot and return safely to the lobby. The main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, as the loot will carry forward for your progress in future games. There are different types of unique bandits, ranging from normal bandits to snipers and cobra bandits. Make sure to defend yourself from other players too. Survival should be your first priority, as all current inventory items will be lost upon elimination. Buy various weapons, armor, attachments, and advanced items from the merchant in the black market to upgrade your loadouts. Progress will be carried forward, which can continuously enhance the strength of your equipment. Choose the map selection at the bottom left side. Currently, there are 4 maps with unique areas, enemies, and interactions for you to explore. Gain access to advanced mode as you progress, where there are more challenging enemies, higher tier loot, and access to the dangerous radiation zone. The new chapter of Metro Royale introduces a new mode called Zombie Uprising, featuring zombies in place of bandits, significantly more dangerous enemies, new weapons, and higher tier loot. There are many new zombie bosses introduced, each with their own unique characteristics. Keep an eye on the map, as bosses will spawn throughout the game as night arrives. It introduces a day and night system where nighttime exploration becomes significantly dangerous with increased mobs and boss spawns. Stick with your team.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the PMSL Southeast Asia as we are kicking things off with our Metro Royale Esports. Oh my, I already fumbled a little bit with my words, do pardon me on that. But of course, here with me is the lovely Choo Choo, and my name is Contra, as we bring you some exciting matches. And if you guys are brand new to Metro Royale or have never seen how Metro Royale works in esports, don't worry, we got you all covered.
Now, in case you have no clue, today is actually day number 2 of week number 1 during the group stage for the PMSL Metro Royale. Only fortune favors the brave. I don't know, is it just the brave or the greedy as well? Because yesterday was a different story entirely and a lot of hiccups for certain teams. I hope for the teams that are going to compete here today, if they done with the drama yesterday, everything being sorted out, especially when it comes to AKG. We're going to repeat the history again today or not. We're going to retell you guys the story what happened yesterday. But so far, when it comes to the tournament schedule, we're starting off the open qualifiers since the 10th and 11th of August between these 3 regions, Indonesia, Malaysia and Thailand. And it's going to be round robin during the group stage here, where we do have 6 matches per day. And this down to day number 2 of week number 1. We have group A, D, B, D and BC for each 2 maps rotations.
That's right. And on top of that, we will be running for these 3 weeks for the group stages. We already settled with our first day of our first weekend, and here we move into day 2. And of course, these are the point systems that pretty much would be looking familiar in terms of bonus points per week, but the scoring system works entirely different. It's based on the total value of loot of each respective teams, and per elimination, it's 300,000 points. It's definitely a little bit jarring when you're hearing, back then it's only 1 point per elimination, but 300,000 points will make a whole lot of sense once you do, of course, see how all these points tally up all together. But of course, these teams will be looking to score themselves those bonus points, as you can see on your screen, with the highest rank to score 20 points in total. And of course, they're playing for a whole lot of prize.
Now, speaking of prizes, it's going to be a lion's share of $1,500 for the first place, but we're going to deduct $250 for each of the ranking, including second place, 1250. We do have third place at $1,000. Down to the 12th place, somebody will have something in their hands, which is going to be $175. Same goes for 11th place, with a total prize pool of $10,000. And the best part, the game is super short, super fun, and super exciting. Everybody will get themselves something as long as they place themselves in the top 12.
That's right. And here are our participating teams that is fielded from pro players who are directly invited, and also for the teams that have moved in from the qualifying rounds. And of course, familiar names such as 7-9, Boom Esports, FaZe Clan is definitely going to be some of the hot favorites out there. But also, we have nongYing that has been really wowing us with legendary names from Thailand.
Now, we talked about the top 12. Definitely, there's only 12 teams, so everybody will win something for this time. And in case you guys don't know what's happening in Metro Royale, so basically, it's a very small map. There's two type of maps. We have Arctic Base and Zombie Uprising. And during this, there's only, even though the timer shows as 20 minutes, they actually do have only 10 minutes. So minus 10 minutes every time you put it in the timer. Make sure that you minus 10 every single time. And they have to extract themselves out of the map when it comes to the remaining of timer that they have left. So they have to get out from the map before the timer ends, which is going to be 10 minutes mark. But when it comes to the loadout preview, for each of the map we have different loadout. This is going to be Zombie Uprising loadout. We're going to have a different one when it comes to the Arctic Base because of how the radiation and also what the zombies will spawn will be very different when it comes to two different maps. So when it comes to loadout, we will not be like using the same as the in-game where you have to buy your own loadout. For the esports or the tournament format coming out from the Metro Royale, we do have our respective loadout for each of the player.
That's right. And, you know, as compared to what we have seen coming in from the qualifiers, it used to be level 6 gears, even up to the vest as well as helmet. Now that you want to make it pretty much an even playing ground, everybody starts on the level 3s instead, making it perhaps a lot more viable to go in for those elimination points as well. Now, currently looking at the overall rankings, we have FaZe Clan sitting at the top by a very tiny margin with 20,850,000. And Velas ID is on second place only by 300 or less than that. If that's going to be the amount that we're looking at, as we basically see a lot of shifts to happen throughout the course of the day. There's definitely a lot of teams that will see themselves good chances to bounce back to climb up against FaZe Clan.
You guys not watching the stock market, don't worry, this is not it. There's so many numbers. I hope one day we have some way to actually re-evaluate when it comes to the earning and the loot value by the end of the day, because the numbers getting insanely too much for us to fathom by the end of the day. There's going to be more than probably 8 digits by the end of every week possibly. But when it comes to the matches here today, like I mentioned before, we have 2 maps rotations. So two groups will be competing against each other, starting off with Zombie Uprising. They're going to go into Arctic Base. Now, in case you guys just join us into this Metro Royale, you don't really understand what this game is about. It's still in PUBG Mobile, but it's a different mode entirely. Basically, you get into a map. There's only 6 teams competing. You have multiple, I think around 6 possibly exit route as well. So the job and the mission is going to be you getting yourself in the map. You have to avoid yourself from being spotted by the other teams, and plus you have to fight against some enemies like zombies, even the captain of zombies, or we call it like as the bosses, where they will drop themselves a hefty amount of loot. So the job for the players, it's gonna be try to collect as much very high valuable loot with very limited amount of pocket. They have to pick and choose, and then trying to find an exit out. Basically, it's like a panic room scenario. But they have to make sure that when they exit out, they extract, they have to make sure the timing is perfect as well. And when there's some zombies during the extraction point, there's going to be green color flare coming up around the area. That's where it's going to be the extraction point. They have to make sure it's a clear zone for them to get out, because what happened yesterday for MCR, it was a total chaos when suddenly there's a spawn of a boss that when they tried to exit out, it wasn't possible.
Yeah, that was absolutely saddening to even witness how teams suffer some of all these unfortunate circumstances, and also some have actually brought upon themselves as well, because they also need to keep in mind the timer is going to be really important. They only have 20 minutes to play through, and also making sure that they walk out right before that 10-minute mark. So long as they are there to challenge through and just evacuate, that's going to be a-okay to calculate all the points all together to be able to reap all the rewards that they managed to accomplish. But when it comes down to Metro Royale, I think that there's so many different ways that these teams are playing with in terms of strategy that has worked wonders. And well, we've seen teams that played super safely, get those millions of points by the end of the round without any form of eliminations. And there are even those, especially the Thai squads, they absolutely love to brawl. So their game plan is you go right there, You shoot at anything that moves, and probably you're just going to score a whole lot. So that has been pretty much the staple for teams like nongYing, which probably we will see that again, because Group A has been super exciting with the presence of nongYing, 7-9, and also MetroMini. That's been the one that prioritizes on heavy looting heading to these matches.
Now we're going to head into Zombie Uprising. We do know when it comes to Zombie Uprising, it's going to be the warehouse under the radar for all the players. Now, if you guys don't know the mine warehouse, where you can actually see in the minimap, you have to go through into an underground tunnel to reach there, but there's going to be only 2 entry in, and it's pretty easy being spotted out by the other teams as well. Now, if you guys don't know how brutal the format is, or how brutal this Metro Royale is, so basically there's like how Contra mentioned earlier on, there's so many ways to actually win this. One of them is going to be you trying to go for a brawl against the other team, or you can completely ignore any other teams as well, like how MetroMini actually play their game. So the way they can actually play, there's so many strategy for it. And the one that actually 100% will secure your loot, it's going to be getting the brawls going. Because every single time you eliminate a player, there's going to be 300,000 of loot value. So that's how we count the points. So for the 300,000 loot value, nobody can snatch it away from you. In the other case, if you manage to eliminate a player which hold themselves quite a number of value, if you look at the scores here at JRI or Dre, it's negative 2,400. Basically, he doesn't have that much on him. But if you can manage to eliminate a player that got millions of loot value on him, so you can just take out all the valuable loot inside of their death boxes and get it on you instead. So that's a strategy to go, especially when waiting for another team at the extraction point, where when they are exiting, you ambush them and steals away all their loot as well. So you don't have to put too much work.
That's right. And, like we don't really have to worry too much about each loot's calculation, as we'll present it on the screen for you guys to understand how it actually works out. Even with the negative values, it's basically with them starting off with the presets, whatever grenades or smokes or even meds, they do hold their certain value as well, including those weapons that they do pick up, as well as all the other loots that's currently available. Now, plenty of teams are also moving through the tunnels. 7-9 hoping to make their way into the radiation zone from the get-go, and hopefully there's not going to be any teams that they will be bumping into in the midst of traveling right there, because back in the Indonesia qualifier, we've seen a whole lot of these situations where when they cut through these underground tunnels, they might even be locked into place where they could not even move in or even out, because other teams are also looking to get their way into the area. So this is definitely going to be some part of the concern, because yesterday, 7-9, they got ambushed on the way out. I'm pretty sure they've learned their lesson here and prepared for what's to come in day 2.
And remember the rivalry between nongYing versus 7-9 every single time around the mine warehouse, and this time it's not going to happen again. I think nongYing also learned their hard lesson and hard truth that they cannot reach there on time, so they just let it by for the 7-9 to take away the mine warehouse. But this time they focus on something that's more surface, which is going to be FLS. Now FLS is the team that we're looking forward to when it comes to the performance. Right now they're ranking at number 1 when it comes to the overall, with the one hefty amount of run yesterday.
Yeah, and on top of that, Fella's idea has been very impressive on not only how they've been able to bring those high-value loots, but also on their prowess in these battles. And I'm really excited to see this fight taking place in a moment's time, because we're going to see 2 of the most aggressive teams coming from each respective groups to actually go on a duel. Miss already being caught out by G9, and it's a signature move from G9 to always go in for those long-range sprays.
You know, nongYing, I feel like they definitely don't want to waste their time for the loot. They're just going to go for the brawl and just steals away the loot of all the other players out there, because that's going to be the easiest, the fastest, the biggest risk. And they love this big risk, big reward kind of action coming out from nongYing. Here comes Martin, probably going to prep in the nade singers for Goddard. Noel and Team Mantap seems to be having a bit of a problem. They're squared down in every corner possible by nongYing.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough for them to actually hold out. All they really have to do is hide in a certain tight angle to see if they can challenge them back. and Gala already moves indoors. But the rest of the squad seemingly taking the upper end of the floor. Team Mantap is holding onto this compound. And G9 was just way too sharp. Now pushing right through, holding into the room. There's still one more corner to check, and G9 does it all.
Well, as a classic nongYing, we do know they're pretty good when it comes to dealing with humans. We haven't seen too much when it comes to the zombies. I think they're pretty okay with zombies too. Just got himself one of the bosses of zombies and got himself an extra bonus loot of that with this random spawn just now. Has scored himself quite a hefty amount of loot value, but next, AKG redemption time or not?
We'll really have to see. This time against the likes of 7-9, it's definitely going to be pretty difficult because Luyu and the entire squad of 7-9, they have always played in this area. So they're very well versed onto how to play from the high ground. So Luyu's going to be on the watch as he tries to seek out all these movements coming from the side of Arkong. It's going to be a 2-2 split coming in from afar, and they managed to also go in for some trades. BD doing some significant damage towards the side of Ken.
I think probably AKG have the same idea, like how nongYing actually plays it. They don't want to go and waste time to loot about for their values. They're definitely just going to go and aim straight for the one that actually have high value instead. Luyu giving a bit of a pressure with a bit of a warning shots and warning hand grenade from afar, a bit too far for those lobs, but unfortunately it didn't clip on anybody just yet. But AKG definitely take that as a warning. They're just gonna go for 2-2 formations, while on the side of 7-9 you just have to hope and pray there's not gonna be random boss spawns around them somewhere, because if not, they will be in trouble.
Yeah, from time to time, even if you're on the rooftop, you might not be safe from some of these zombies that will appear out of nowhere, seemingly. But I really do like the approach coming from the side of Arkong. They're being very, very careful on their approach, respecting 7-9's approach on this team fight. And now that they're really locking them down onto these areas, it really seemed like there is not much options for Arkong to just simply go on about to just get those loots up. But here we go. The rest of 7-9 has to deal with the boss as well, already getting one member knocked down. This is not good news, especially with Arkong approaching into this territory.
I just hope I didn't jinx it just like yesterday. Every time I mentioned about something, it really happened for the team, and 7-9 have to go through this. And lucky enough, the boss seems to be backing away. But the problem with that, the boss will regenerate his HP as well the moment he just go back to his original position. On the side of 7-9, they have to deal with two things at the same time, and it's not easy to deal with boss by yourself. It won't be enough by the side of Ken, so he definitely needs more help here. But the problem is AKG taking advantage of their turmoil, and they have managed to revive one of their teammate for the side of 7-9. Problem is, I mean, the radiation zone make it so difficult for them to see where AKG is at.
Yeah, it is really tough for them to actually get any clear sight coming in from that form of distance. So they're just playing with a little bit of an intuition coming from the side of Luyu to be able to trade from that distance. And now here comes Lantizi trying to push right through. And with those names being popped in, it does connect towards the BJ. Oh, it's trouble lying up ahead for the side of Arkong as they lose one member crew. They have barely even gotten any loots in this radiation area, and Arkong might need to turn back.
You want to play how nongYing does, but it didn't work out for their favor here for AKG. Arkong or AKG right now have to go back for a fall back entirely, going for a retreat instead, knowing the fact that their plan's not going to work. Their attempt to take over this warehouse, the mines warehouse, not going to be successful for now. But for 7-9, at least that's a good sign, right? It means that they can deal with the bosses all the time now, but hopefully they got themselves that extraction point. If not, AKG will do exactly how nongYing does yesterday against 7-9.
Yeah, and now 7-9, they just really have to be careful on their way out. Meanwhile, for the side of AKG, do they really want to take about 9 minutes to just wait for 7-9? Probably not. There's still plenty of time for them to also scatter around, look for some alternative routes for it. They could still find certain value of loots without depending onto the radiation zone. Meanwhile, 7-9, they're going to be really happy of what they will be able to gain out of that situation where, you know, there's plenty of loots to go with. They've already taken down the Variant F mutant, so it should be pretty clear for them at the moment. Meanwhile, for the rest of nongYing, after taking those battles, they are still on the outskirts, hoping to even find more of all these other players. Meanwhile, Zen9, that's a big spin though. Can they manage to dodge that?
That's a variant P. A variant P takes a bit more longer time. I think it is a variant P, and then it's going to be really nauseous zombie boss there. Keeps on spewing so much vomit, the greenish vomit ever they can actually see. But on the side of Ken, you know, he just coolly deal with it. But the problem is, AKG is not giving up. They're giving more troubles from sidelines.
Oh, this is where things get a little bit rowdy, though. AKG, despite them losing one member, I like that they're actually going in for this challenge as they go up close and personal. Grenades are being exchanged. Speedy down this time. Kenny's just being so accurate with those tosses. And here we go. Another name being lopped right in. Monkey does not really have time to actually go in for the revive. Is he going to go true? He's going to look for a bounce. And it might actually connect. Thankfully, AKG can go in for that reset. But the rest of Zen9 is already here, swarming true.
And they have to deal with this pretty fast for the side of Zen9 because right now only 9 minutes on the clock for them to deal with AKG and all the zombies are lurking around, and a horde is coming over this side as well. And it's a big bonus. They managed to wipe up the entirety of AKG, now left with the last player, BD. BD randomly shoots within the smoke. Hopefully it will connect somehow, but it's going to be him being swarmed by the rest of Zen9. A big win for Zen9. This is definitely going to push their numbers up when it comes to the loot value later, which can be probably over 3 million by end of the day, including after they're dealing with the zombies bosses as well. Now, don't forget about the timer. 8 minutes on the clock for them. They have to extract themselves out of the map as soon as they can find a point to get out from.
Yeah, speaking of which, the time just went by so quickly. There's still the mutants that they really have to deal with, but of course they have to aim on their weak spot, which is on the chest, but they're aiming on the head. So it's going to take a while, and with the zombie running out and about, it's not going to be an easy task. Meanwhile, for the rest of nongYing, they're hunting on the outskirts and they spot out the member from MetroMini. With Nana trying their best to stay alive. They've already got one member taken down, and there's even more zombies chasing after Winata.
It's not great. They're trying to find themselves some extraction point. And I do note that FL as one of the players already getting out. I think that's going to be the most loot coming out from that one player. So that's why he's exiting out. Just to be sure that they got all the most available loot out first. But on the side of MetroMini, they have to deal with two things at the same time. And it's nighttime as well. The moment you open fire, the horde of zombies will just go straight flying at you. And there's also abnormal zombies coming in. That's going to be a fast one chasing the heck out of Renata, and I'm not sure where are the rest of the teammates of MetroMini. Right now there's going to be 3 of them left, but back to the side of nongYing, they do have themselves quite a hefty amount of loot. It's nearby MetroMini as well, so he has to just open up the gap between them and nongYing, because nongYing is one of the teams that you want to avoid at all costs.
Yeah, I was really concerned for Winata when he was looking to actually go in for a direct challenge, and of course the reason why there's just so many zombies because nighttime is where they come out and really play. So there's going to be hordes and hordes chasing after Winata. So he really has to wait until it's daytime to see things clear up a little bit more. And for a moment, you know, he was popping that med kit in the middle of the fight. I thought that it would be a goner. Meanwhile, for the side of nongYing, they'll just go in to blast out some of these zombies on these cores of the lighthouse. And it should be pretty much a clear ordeal for the side of nongYing. So far, with 2 million and 3 elimination points, they are definitely racing up against Zen9.
Yep, all they have to do is dealing with these boomers and the other zombies and also the runners as well. So Martin, I think they're trying to find themselves an extraction point. I don't think they spot any yet. And don't forget the timer. We have 6 minutes on the clock here before they have to get out. And you have to count the time, that actually the delay time of the extraction as well. That's going to be around 3 to 5 seconds of extraction. So they have to make sure that all the extraction points pretty clear. Or maybe they're just waiting for the sun to rise here for nongYing to finally get out from the map. But on the side of FLS, I'm not sure why there's only one player out for now. The rest of them still try to loot up and have put themselves a higher value. MetroMini might actually just count them 1 extraction point. So Winata will try to make sure it's going to be a clear extraction zone for the rest of the team. At the same time, he needs to heal himself back up. He did. In case the sudden spawn of a zombie boss appeared out of nowhere, then there's going to be a bit of a problem. We've seen that happen before.
Oh, yeah. That definitely will be another different side of intricate moments where they really have to deal with as a squad, where Nada so far has been dealing with all these zombies all alone. So the side of MetroMini is definitely taking a very different approach as compared to all these other teams, just letting Winata cook in some sort of way. But good to actually see that they are pretty much well intact with those 3 members being left. And just look at how close things have been. And we thought that, hey, M9, surely they would be able to get the most out of these situations. Yes, they currently do have the most points, but fellas as well as nongYing, they're really matching these numbers.
Speaking of numbers, the clock's kind of concerning here. 4 minutes on the clock. I still have so many players not extracting out yet, except for that one particular player of FLS. I'm not sure about the side of Sam9. Did they find themselves? Did they found any extraction point to this extent? Because right now we don't have any view on them. And the only team that we do know haven't acted out is going to be nongYing possibly, and also MetroMini. FLS, definitely they already have themselves the extraction point and just going to find themselves a couple of zombie bosses laying around that extraction point here to get themselves a bit more loot, because the loot progress coming from this side is a bit slower but not too fast, but there's still some progress in it.
Yeah, and for most part, I was expecting a lot of all these fights to happen somewhere in the midst of the matchup. The only few collaterals that we do see coming in was the early game where Team Mantap was being taken down by nongYing, and also Arkong's direct approach to challenge Sam9 as well. And now that these teams are pretty much scattered to safely loot up, with 3 more minutes on the clock, they really have to consider, it's time to really take a good look into where exactly some of all these evacuation zones could be at and safeguard it as much as they can. For the side of nongYing, I believe that they've been able to at least navigate already and know that there's going to be at least one around the vicinity. So they're not too concerned for the moment. But as for Sam9, we have no clue. Are they anywhere close at all? Did they even find one at the moment? We will find out in a moment's time. But there's just a lot of zombie hordes that they will all deal with at the moment.
If you open the red box, there's going to be a horde coming out of that, and maybe you get lucky enough, get some very exclusive item in terms of the loot values in those boxes. But for MetroMini, it is time for them to eject out of the map one by one, just passing by those extraction point or extraction zone or evacuation zone in this case. But we don't see any sign of Sam9 yet. But for FLS, they try to push a little bit more for their loot value to the very end. We have millions and millions of value this time, except for Team Mantap and AKG. They have to settle down with whatever they have, which is going to be nothing for now because they didn't actually get any elimination points as well. Elimination-wise, I think it's not too much compared to where you can actually loot up for the values, but it's definitely giving you an upper hand situation where you don't have to worry about the other teams around your zone. But right now, extraction going to have to commence because we have 2 minutes more on the clock.
Yeah, and so far, with only 2 minutes, they really got to make a dash for it already. But look at how the teams have actually played out this round. It was a whole lot more strategic as compared to yesterday, where it was just utter chaos, right? From all the groups, from A to D, it's been pretty much fights from the start all the way to the finish. Sam9 has already made their way out, so that's going to be a total of 4 million. Added with 4 eliminations onto what they've been able to acquire.
I think everybody's kind of put up a standard that when it comes to zombie uprising map, they have to go for 4 mil. That's going to be the minimum. That's what FLS is trying to do. But the problem is time's not on their side here. So they need to boot out. They need to eject themselves from the zombie uprising map as soon as they found themselves the greenish flare, which is going to be the extraction zone. nongYing or G9 right now, and the rest of the remaining of nongYing will go boot themselves out of the map to make sure they will translate all the loot value into points when it comes to the overall scores later. player. But when it comes to the last remaining 3 players in that, there's going to be 2 players of FLS. I think with Nota, you don't want to be in the position where there's sudden spawn of something in the very last minute that you fail the entire crew. Now, if there's one player not managed to put out and they are alive when the timer ends, it's still going to be 0 for the entire team. So they don't want to sabotage their own team here.
Speaking of which, Lan has finally made it into a very separated area to evacuate. So Lan's just going to be able to just look around for the moment. He's got 20 seconds, so shouldn't be a problem at all, as they will all make it all the way safely. So 7-9 so far, looking very strong and dominant in this very first match of A versus D to secure the win. On top of that, with 4 eliminations as well. So with that said, this 4 mil is definitely going to do them really good to really climb up the leaderboards.
Now, so far when it comes to the Zombie Uprising map, I think nobody can actually challenge 7-9 in the Mine Warehouse, and that's going to be one of the best part of the map itself as the highest value loot out there. If there's somebody trying to challenge them, they have to get there first before 7-9 does, because that's the only way for them to turn things around, because so far 7-9 know the best shortcut to go into the Mines Warehouse.
Yeah, and they've been doing so every single matchup where even teams who have read their gameplay, they will know that there is 7-9 to be expected in that area. Arkong, of course, went right in there to even challenge them directly, but they were outnumbered to begin with. They already had one member, which I do believe it's either BD or even BJ, to be picked off very early on. So it wasn't entirely the best kind of approach, but they definitely put on at least a valiant effort into doing so. But looking into the upcoming matchup, Arctic Base is gonna offer more than just 4 million. You can even rack up to 10 million in terms of a total value. So I think like keeping all 4 members alive is going to be very vital for them to secure a win here, or else, you know, like all these teams who are headed into Missile Silo, they're just gonna have a big party time where it could be anyone's game still.
Yeah, I mean, like we saw yesterday how on the side of Fellas ID or Fellas Indonesia actually scored himself over 16 million worth of loot in Arctic Base. And if you want to push the numbers, this is the map they are aiming for. But there's going to be, we do know there's going to be only one place with the radiation zone with the most loot value of every single map. There's going to be one place only, and in the case of Zombie Uprising, it was the Mines Warehouse. When it comes to the active base, definitely it's going to be the Mission Silo, and we do know there's going to be a lot of contention, but at least the Mission Silo is a bit bigger than the Mines Warehouse, right? So there's a lot more entry into the underground tunnel as well.
There's just so many alternatives to get in as well as to get out, where it would still be very tricky, because we've even seen teams trying to gate others from exiting from that area because they've already gotten all these high value loots from Missile Silo, and to get out, whether if you want to basically take a big U-turn and a long way route to try to exit and perhaps bump into another team, they can do so, but at a cost as well. So this is where we'll finally get to see a little bit more of that high risk, high reward play that we've been craving for as well, because we've seen plenty from yesterday. Today, maybe a little bit of warm up is necessary for some of these guys to feel out how Group A versus Group D is going to look like. So for 7-9, the approach has always been the same. Take on anybody that's closest to you. Go ahead, challenge the boss, get all these $1 million worth of value, and hopefully survive.
I think for 7-9, they're pretty technical themselves when it comes to getting what's right for the team here. They go straight for the radiation zone, which is going to be the underground tunnel, and straight towards the high value loot places, including it's going to be Mission Silo next. But 7-9 still taking it at the raid number 1 here this time. Fellas ID, on the other hand, I think they still maintain himself in the overall ranking number 1 with this kind of performance, with normal loot value of almost close to 4 million. There's going to be 3,886,640. Now, that's going to be a lot of numbers for us to talk about. But on the side of nongYing, I mean, this time they executed 3 players. I think they did not lose anybody. But for a good run, I think everybody managed to reject themselves out this time. And that's already a good sign for us when it comes to Metro Royale.
Yeah, that's a really good sign for teams to really prepare themselves for this upcoming match as well, where LandTZ was the one in charge of bagging the most loots possible for 7-9 with a total of 1,563 in total. And on top of that, LandTZ has also eliminated plenty of players in the field, a total of 3, just like how G9 has done by taking out Team Mantap. So LandTZ is looking to really match up to the side of nongYing. But you know what I really want to see once again? The rematch between nongYing as well as 7-9. Maybe there's a truce being called in that first phase of the matchup. Getting to Missile Silo, really, it's really down to how they will take control of the wide area of play. So that radiation zone is going to be what we're going to be looking at. But 7-9, what a strong start they have.
I mean, usually it's going to be Loyu. He's the one that actually looted up. When it comes to Chosen One, LandTZ, I mean, like, not just he got himself a high value earning, but he's also playing elimination, which is kind of a rare scenario because usually the fragger, or we do know that each team divided themselves into 2 roles here, the looters and also the one that fragging. So in the case of LandTZ, I think he's usually the one that actually fragging for the team, but since there's nobody else around, so they might as well just loot up and everybody can get high value to translate into points later on, which they managed to do so on the side of 7-9. If you look at how Mindware has been just dominated and capitalized by the side of 7-9, it's no problem to keep the numbers up.
Yeah, for a moment, I thought that teams like FaZe ID would go in for the challenge. They did. They just went out over onto Guardian Bason just to get even more of those bosses loots available. But FaZe ID, just like what you said, they have maintained themselves with that 5 million or so points, or even 3 million to actually add to the table. Now they're still holding on to a top margin of the spot. As a matter of fact, they have already pushed FaZe Clan 1 spot below with a total of 4 million in difference at the moment.
That's a huge number still in between now. That's going to be also a turnabout when it comes to only 1 map to take over for the sort of FaZe Clan, but they will not be playing yet because they will be next rotation. They are in Group C. That's going to be their last map of the day or rotation they will be in, so they might get pushed down by all the other teams here today. But for overall rankings, Brian Team and Arkong, despite they had such an advantage yesterday for Arkong, today should be their redemption day here to make a comeback. But next map, we're heading into Arctic Base, and this is the map where they have the biggest opportunity for all the teams up there to turn the tables around, because this is the map with a higher value of loot, plus where FaZe ID or FaZe Indonesia actually turned the table around with almost 17 million loot value by the end of the day.
Yeah, and speaking of value, there is a whole lot of offerings coming in from PUBG Mobile. And of course, it's a good time for you guys to log in because we do have the Airdrop Carnival Pirate Bash that's currently happening. So call your friends and join the Pirate Bash, where you can explore the Ocean Odyssey, View Team area, Pirates Booty Island. You can also collect airdrop tokens and hit the Airdrop Carnival in-game event to upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set or emote of your choice. That's right. All the things that you want, you can actually get it from here. And of course, this lasts till the 18th of August.
And don't forget, your Galadria Axe suit with advanced upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfits award from 6th of August to 13th of August, which going to be a new axe set available for you guys in the game. So stay tuned with PUBG Mobile. I thought you wanted to do the ads voice here today, but I was wrong. I got scammed by Contra. Man.
Well, I'll do it on the next one once it does conclude, because I was not ready for the ads to actually hit in the right spot. So yeah, I just went on with it. So with that being said, maybe I'll put on the pirate kind of voice onto the next one. We'll see if we can actually do that. But
Aye, why not?
Ahoy, mateys! Call your friends to join the Pirate Bash. Perhaps.
Actually, it's not pirate enough, mate. You have to go more piratey than that, you know? have a bit of never mind. I might get cancelled if I say that, but never mind. Just cancel that one. I'm not gonna say it anyways. But we're heading into Arctic Base. So we talked about the highest value we ever had was over 16 million yesterday by Fellas Indonesia. Now can somebody else break the record of Arctic Base in one single map loot value by end of the day? Make it 20 million. I want to see a 20 million mark here by end of today.
I'm not too sure how do they actually achieve 20 million. Like those numbers that we saw from yesterday's round coming from Fellas ID was already blowing everything off the charts, because through the qualifiers, maybe we've seen 9 million, 10 million or so. Perhaps you need to take down half of a lobby or take down the whole lobby, just like Arkong being the only one surviving. But with them, imagine them looting up the entire map and then they walk out within that 10-minute mark. Then we get to actually see maybe that 20 million happen. But for now, I'll keep my expectations pretty low, right? Like, then we don't even have to match up with that 15 million. I just really want to see a tight race that everybody's hanging around that 9 to 10 million, and to see if there's going to be that last minute hurdle for teams to actually steal the stash if they're low on those loots.
The thing is, there's so many extraction points, right? You cannot actually gatekeep one extraction points, but if that's the case, if they really want to give it a fights and brawl, it might worth to risk it. For me, it's a bit of a gamble here for the players to do it. But for example, Mission Silo, they have to find the extraction point first for the team and wait around the extraction points, because maybe they'll bump into some now where they try to extract out. That's where they start to gun people down. Instead of doing all the hard work, they might just wait it out for the teams to present the loot themselves and just steal it away from the hands of the known players. That's doable, definitely, as long as they get into the extraction point and trying to find any other extraction point nearby Mission Silo. That's going to be one of the best scenario for the teams that's so lazy might be the word. Lazy to go and find the loot.
And I guess like certain teams, they are also smart enough to not put themselves in a difficult circumstance, because they understand there's so many teams hoping to get those high value loots, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of area around the map for you to also look around, challenge some of all these bosses, and still get hopefully an equivalent value out of that. But they have to be super efficient onto making sure that they also stay safe into some of these grounds, because we've seen from yesterday's run where some of these teams, they get picked off the moment that they really want to get their way into an evacuation point, because they're running out in the open on throughout these terrains that are pretty much scattered out without much covers. I guess this is where things start to get a little bit more worrying. But I've always loved watching some of all these matches here in Arctic Base because of how explosive and crazy it will be in a moment's time. So I guess we're just getting ourselves ready for what's about to be offered by both Group A as well as Group D. So far, I see that, you know, nongYing, they're still having their identity there to just go in for those early trades. So we do expect them to do the same here in this map.
For once, right, it would be cool if we actually have the timer when it comes to close to 10 minutes, the last few minutes there when they're trying to extract, that the players have to extract during nighttime. Now that's going to be fancy to watch, because we do know when it comes to nighttime there'll be hordes of zombies around the corner everywhere. So imagine the extraction point is not clear for the player to take it away, and they have to extract out, and timer is not on their side, so they have to force them fight anyway. And at the same time they'll be super chaotic to watch, but definitely fun for us, for, you know, viewers out there. But in the end of the day, it's down to who will get the Mission Silo, because this time I think there'll be more contention when it comes to Mission Silo. One of the best radiation zones with a high value of loot for teams to want to get their numbers up when it comes to the overall rankings later on. So it's not fun to have only one team that's so confident to get the radiation zone here. It would be nice to have some contention there as well.
Yeah, that's where, you know, like looking into how many teams will be moving into that territory, we'll have to actually see if they're daring enough to actually set foot into that passage where we definitely do know that nongYing is definitely going to be moving into the area. But even nongYing in this particular map, they also do love to basically charge right through, so long as they got pretty much the upper hand from where they actually spawn up, because they don't really get to select where they spawn for most part. Some of these teams, they actually start at the very edge of the map, and you might need to be very careful onto bumping with some of all these other teams. But for nongYing, maybe they're happy enough to actually pick up that fight along the way. So I want to see maybe 4 or 5 teams, or have all 6 of them to actually be inside the zone, ideally. But most likely than not, there's going to be maybe teams like MetroMini that's really hoping to just squeeze by the edges. Yeah.
I know, I was hoping and looking forward for nongYing to contest to a SM9, because that's what they've been doing for the entire day yesterday, and maybe there's some difference coming up from MetroMini. You know, instead of playing around the surface, just go in the center like we see at the donut map right here, the one that actually had the blackened area and a bit dark. That's going to be the zone area, the reddish area, which could be Mission Silo, who will drop themselves there. Let's go into Arctic Base.
Here we go into our second match of the evening, as you guys are currently watching the PMSL Southeast Asia Metro Royale edition. Before we kickstart our Battle Royale runs much later into the evening as well as nighttime. So with that being said, it's definitely vital for these teams to quickly look for that tunnel passage to get into the underground if they want to get those early loots through Missile Silo. Now, I want to ask you this, Chuchu. Is it actually wise to be the first one in Missile Silo, knowing for the fact that other teams are also heading in? But before that, there's already a battle.
Speaking of that, I think it's best to actually go there as fast as possible before the other teams actually reach mission silo here, because that's going to be the best advantage you can actually have, knowing your corners and get in your own best positions when it comes to mission silo. Because if you're late into it, it's going to be difficult. We saw that before in the previous map, which is going to be Zombie Uprising, where the other teams like AKG try to steal away from Sam9's hand. It was quite difficult since they got the prime spot straight into the radiation zone. So for the teams, yes, even though there's so many contention in between, whoever gets there the fastest, they definitely got the upper hand here.
Yeah, I would also say so myself, where at least you don't really have to worry too much how many teams are currently inbound or so, because when you know that you're the first mover, you get to control the territory as well. Speaking of controlling here, Team Mantap, they're trying to get their hands against the rest of fellas Indonesia. And we'll have a widespread going on, stuck behind a rock once again. It's going to be Land that's hoping to connect some of all these shots. He's on an iron sight AK. Not going to be easy to actually land some of all these bullets right through, but he does get to climb on top of the roof, and it does make things simple for Pram. Oh, wow. What a spray that was.
And Team Mantap didn't last even a couple of minutes into the map just yet. Unfortunately, they didn't put themselves into action before FLS just wiped them away. But this is going to be the boss. Not really the hardest one for Lam to deal with himself. Not really the boss, I think. That's just a normal crook. I call it normal crook or bandits out there. But there's definitely going to be some upgrades for the side of Pram from all the boxes laying around by these small bandits. But back to the side of SM9, they're definitely not wasting any time at all. But they also greeted by AKG. Let's go round 2.
Wow, really going in for another clash. AKG continuously bumped into SM9. And now that the lost one member, is it still going to be wise for AKG to still make the advancement here against the rest of SM9? BD, he does have that grenade. He's hoping to cut through. And this is where Luyu really have to watch out, because this is going to blow up. Does actually kill some of the damage, but BD goes down instead. Oh, what a catch coming from SM9.
AKG starting off as a trio. This is definitely not going to fare well for them. Leaving with only BJ to deal with whatever that's left for AKG, and he has to revive on BD as well. Can he revive now? The Molotov will buy him some time, but that's going to be 2 seconds on the clock, and it's done. It's cleared up, and now here comes in from Lantizi. Actually projected way towards the entry arc there. So BJ also tossed another molly, but Lantizi made it through, and now he's chasing the tails of AKG and got another knock on BJ. This is going to be a bit of a problem because BD didn't manage to just reset himself back up his HP yet.
Oh boy, they just try to zone them all too close into that tight corridor and only buying some form of time, not even having enough to go in for heals or even revive. And now Seb9 goes for the chase. BD, can he survive to tell the tale? Doesn't seem like he has much of a choice but to back down. And this is where Luyu closes right in to eventually secure another point in the back for Seb9.
Another 0 and a fill attempt coming up from AKG to go into Mission Silo this time against M9. Like I mentioned before, if you're here first, then you're going to have the biggest advantage. The problem is you have a cleanup crew. Jeez! Greeted warmly by Kenny with a spray just now. I don't know what they have in their mind for MetroMini, but they should have expected there'll be somebody else around the tunnel area since they are a bit later to enter into Mission Silo. But I have a feeling we might have another contest coming up soon, which is going to be nongYing. They are on their way here, possibly.
But this has been such an explosive start coming for the side of Seb9 as well. Already bagging that 4 elimination points, picking that other member from the side of MetroMini. Now, MetroMini, they got to be very careful on this approach. Now, Lantizi, it's really down to him whether if he could basically spot a member or so. Footsteps might be heard. And oh, what a spray! He gets a double! And now, from underneath, they're already taking that mining cart and trying to book out of it. And here comes another one. Can he actually make it out? FaZe with so little HP will tell the tale. But the shots! What on earth was that?
On the other side, Sam9 just know where they're coming out from and where they will get out for their exit. Coming out from the side of Moms or MetroMini there. And speaking of Sam9, that's Lantizi. What he's trying to do, he's the fragger for the team. While Luyu busy actually trying to loot up. Same goes for maybe Kenny or I think Ken, probably the other looter coming out from the side of Sam9. The other two, Kenny and Lantizi, making sure everything is clear for the looters to go into their destinations that they plan to go for, which is going to be Mission Silo. They're not even there yet, but they already looted so much from all the death boxes of AKG laying around. Even from MetroMini. Now we only have left with 3 teams here. Definitely no contention towards Mr. Silo unless nongYing want to surprise us.
Yeah, I guess like the only thing that sets the side of Seb9 back is that, of course, some time have already passed throughout all these battles that they basically subscribe to. And they have barely looted, like you said. So nongYing, they're the ones who enjoy the spoils of whatever loot is currently around the corner. Probably has taken a boss down already at this point. So Seb9, they got to be very well prepared. Good news is that they managed to at least restock some of all these bullets as well as all these smoke grenades or even Molotovs that has been utilized, so they can just quickly go in for that replenishment before they meet up with the rest of nongYing. Has already backed a total of close to 5 million at the moment.
Yeah, they're here first because of how Sam9 being stopped by 2 teams back-to-back just now. And Martin, the trade-off of playing a radiation zone is that, yeah, you get great loot, a high-value loot up here, but the problem is the fog will make it so difficult to visualize around 10 meters ahead of you, and that's going to be difficult for them to see Martin clearly just now. Martin didn't see through Sam9. Definitely they know there's another team of contention. They definitely know it's going to be Sam9 now, and Martin got ahead by Kobe, tossed by the side of Sam9. And Kenny, he got reverse of the situation here for Sam9 as well. 1-2-1 trade-off between these two players, but only a knockout, no elimination yet. But at the same time, Sam9 need to take the fight either way if they want to loot in Mission Silo.
Yeah, I was just so impressed on how sharp G9 has been, even through this radiation zone with those long-range taps. Those exchanges coming from Seb9 as well as nongYing, they're yet to actually settle out with the score lines just yet. Seb9 now being bombarded as they will send Goddard right into the forefront to go in for the direct challenge. And that's going to be Martin that will accompany him as well. Ex-members of Eliminate the Murder, a huge throwback into 2019. You guys have been able to stick around for that long. You guys know our age already by now. Meanwhile, G9 also separated from the rest of the pack, but they are playing within that compound. The rest of Seb9 says, you know what? perhaps it's better that, we just focus onto a different sector because Fellas IV is also moving in. So it's a three-way battle for all the remaining teams that are still alive, and perhaps we actually see only one to survive to tell the tale.
Now, another question is, do they find themselves at extraction point, and how many are there available around Mission Silo? That's a bigger question here, because at least right now they do have time, 11 minutes on the clock for them before they have to eject themselves out of this map. But the problem is they have to deal with each other first. FLS just arrived. It's definitely going to be a one-way battle. Only one will triumph here, unless FLS thinking like, you know what, this is too much for us, we might actually back out. That's going to be a different story now. But back towards the side of nongYing, they lost Martin before. I have no idea how much value that he has on his body. Now, if Sam9 snatched that away, that's a big win for Sam9, because nongYing right now have worth 5 million loot value on themselves on each of the players, especially Asso. Asso cannot afford to go down.
Oh boy, speaking of which, one after another, they're trading their blows, and now it's going to be from low ground. The shots connect, and Sam9, they win the trade, all due to Lantizi's effort. The chosen one, once again, stepping up to the plate, but the rest of Fellas ID, they're already coming in.
FLS, they're here. Here comes the nade. They can dodge it. They managed to dodge it. They have to find the box of SOC because that's the highest value. That's 4 million worth, almost 5 there of loot value in the box of SOC. But for Sam9, this is going to be it, leaving with only Loyu with what, 5% of HP. Hopefully he got himself some first aids, but I'm not sure how much value worth for his own body down there. But FL, as they can just easily turn all the tides around with what nongYing has just now, is definitely emptied out by the side of Sam9. Next, Sam9 in the same boat as how they put nongYing before. It's a big win if FLS just shuts down on the rest of Sam9.
And it looks like the prophecy once again arrives right here in this moment. It's FLS game to play, 4 versus 1, and they got this entire sector of missile silo to loot out. There are bodies from both Sam9 members as well as nongYing that has crashed out of this entire radiation zone. So there's plenty of valuables for them to actually pick up right now. So are they going to break that 20 million mark, Chuchu? Perhaps this is the game to do so.
Because last we saw nongYing at 5 million, almost that value of what he has on him. And then also Sam9 pretty much almost a similar amount. That's definitely easy, 10 mils. And they still have 4 players alive, which means they have a lot of pocket and to swap and pick and choose whatever loot they can find from the death boxes laying around. And the best part is that they don't even have to try to find and put an effort into it, because why? The death boxes is enough for them to loot from. They don't have to scour around Mission Silo anymore. They just need to find those death boxes and it's done deal for them. And now Loyu got left with what? 155,000 worth of value, not even enough for him to just recover from the loss of Sam9's team. Now what FLS they have to do is just take their reign. They even found themselves nearby to the extraction point. This is just a huge landslide win for FLS. How the turn of time within seconds changed the game for the entirety of this map in Arctic base right now.
This is why I absolutely love this map for Metro Royale, and all these team fights that happen here inside of the missile silo has always been so interesting to watch. And I guess Loyu can at least smile that, hey, at least I'm still bringing some points back into the team, because they not only got that couple of hundreds on top, there's also 9 missions that has been backed up. As a matter of fact, it's almost the entire lobby that was wiped off by both FLS as well as Sam9.
9 times 300, that's going to be around 2.7 million worth of value for the side of Sam9 just from the elimination of players here. But with what Loyu have, probably going to hit around 3 million by the end of this map round. I think Loyu just going to resort to loot whatever he can actually find around the surface area, not going to contest any more missions. So it's going to be not worth it at all for the side of Sam9. They don't want to go emptied out by a 0 at that point. So, but FLS, we're waiting for that 20 mil. Can that actually hit the spot here or not? Because right now they have trouble try to find those death boxes due to the radiation zone kind of fogged up their vision here. So hopefully they have enough time, because countdown time is still got 6 minutes left, and they found themselves the extraction zone. So all they need to do is just to remember where the extraction zone was and find themselves those death boxes laying around, which there seems to be some difficulty for them to find them because they don't know exactly where. As a Zips, I think they found his death box as well. So that's going to be 10 mil, probably hit the clock by then. Can they hit 20? Now, that's the challenge for the side of FLS.
And right now, I guess, no matter, regardless of the value as well, 20 million definitely will set a record all-time high in Metro Royale history. But, you know, there's still some zombies that they will have to deal with eventually. They should be able to at least put in, at the very least, an estimate of 11 million. And we add on top of all these submission points, that's about 2.4 million in total. So still plenty to book out. And you make that comparison to all the other teams that didn't make the cut, right? AKG, MetroMini, and the rest of the pack, other than, you know, nongYing that has one extra elimination. The rest of them, sadly, walks away with no value at all in this match. I feel like this is just so jarring, the disparity of it.
And speaking of jarring, just now I think Tree actually put out a flare for the rest of the teammates to loot from that one box that have red value, which is going to be one of the highest value of loot. And I think that's probably going to be the case of how he actually put up the flare, because probably his pocket already full by now. And one of the players of FLS already eject himself out into the lobby right now, so I don't know how much more they can actually garner or just salvage with whatever that's left for the boxes laying around in Mission Silo here. With only 3 players, they definitely try to break the numbers. And I don't think that anybody can chase when it comes to the overall rankings for now, because we do know FLS right now standing at number 1 spot with what? Almost 4 to 6 million of a gap as the start of the day. And then this happened. I mean, they definitely already hit 10 mils. Yesterday, they hit the 16, 17 almost. They might as well just hit the number again with 4 more minutes remaining on the countdown clock.
Oh, boy. I feel like this is definitely going to be something that will be a tough challenge for FaZe Clan, who's not in this group-specific matchup, but FaZe Clan probably will be playing later on. So to beat these numbers, it will definitely require them to really put on quite the showing. But Fellas ID, I've been so impressed from the qualifying rounds ever since they make their debut, especially on Pram's performance. It's not only on how he goes in for some of all these frags, which he confidently does, but it's also how much value per round he always brings back. Even when Fellas ID has majority of their members limited, usually the case, it's going to be Pram that will be the final member remaining. And it looks like we do have a boss challenge going on. Not every bosses are cleared just yet.
Oh, it's going to be an easy task for the side of FLS since they have 4 members, and now make it 3 because Arya already ejected out. But on the side of you, he does have a bit of a problem trying to find an extraction point just now. But the problem is also, if in case there's a spawn of a boss near the only extraction point that he can actually find, and it's quite difficult to deal with one boss by yourself because their HP is remarkably huge. Plus, they also have special trait that's pretty difficult in case some bosses like to toss a lot of missiles or even some mollies and multiple mollies being tossed at the same time. So Loyu, he's trying to play it safe. He was quite paranoid right now in case any player of FLS seems to be tailing him from behind, but there's nobody left out there. All he needs to worry about right now is there's any bosses seems to be spawning nearby extraction zone, but he needs to find his extraction point now ASAP because right now the timer's not on his side. 2 minutes on the clock.
Yeah, I can't really blame Luyu for being so cautious on his approach as well. Like when you're dealing with a squad, just like Fellas ID, in this final few moments, like you definitely want to double check some of all these areas of play. Good news is that there is already an evacuation zone right in front of him. So 7-9, they will bid goodbye to this matchup, which could have been so much more if they actually won those trades. They did manage to win nongYing, but of course that came with a cost. So Fellas ID, they only got less than 2 minutes. I think that is about time they just move into evacuation point already and just forsake whatever else that's currently being offered from the radiation zone. So there we go. as Pram undoubtedly will be the chosen one in this match.
Oh, they should be aware of the time. I think Tree probably just gonna eject himself out right now. Let's fly up. There you go. And that's gonna be the second one, followed by the UFO sucking himself into the sky. I don't know what actually they have to fly over that side, but it's a fun animation to see everybody just go up with their hands up like a Superman. And that's going to be the last of FLS. It's definitely a landslide win with almost 18 million in total here. Almost hitting the 20. They are getting closer to the target here today for us as well, Contra.
Wow, Choo, I never really thought that we actually get to see all these big numbers so early into our matchup, but Group A versus Group B absolutely delivers. And fellas, Indonesia, they rack in a total of 15,875,642. Wow, that is a mouthful for me to even say out. But keep in mind, this is not the total value just yet. They also do have the limited points to add up, and they have a plenty to book out this match.
Almost 18 million, I think over 18 million worth of value just now. They managed to just salvage by the end of the day. For the side of Sam9, unfortunately, now I love it. I love so much what we actually witnessed just now. Somebody tried to contest Sam9 from their comfort of the radiation zone, and their capitalization over the radiation zone. So finally they have their match up here, which could be Fellas Indonesia or Fellas ID. But in the meantime, can the other team start to catch up, because the gap is just a bit too much of a stretch for Fellas ID and the rest of the teams down there?
Yeah, and I do think that there are potential rounds where some of these teams will be able to score huge, but they really got to ensure that they will be getting out some of these matches with at least a total value of 4 to 5 million per matchup to steadily climb the charts against some of all these big guys with those big numbers right now. So long as they can get some average ratios, they should be able to at least make it into a really safe top 5. And at the end of the day, in the group stages, we're looking for the top 6 teams. So there's still plenty of games to be played out, not only throughout this course of the weekend, but there's 2 more weekends to go for them to really sum everything up. So with that said, I wonder how do the numbers look like right now with, another massive victory. I think that undoubtedly Fellas ID, they will be positioned at the top of the table without any form of questions asked. But Sem9, they did pretty well so far with these 2 games that they have in hand.
Pretty okay, it's just they have a bit of a blunder when it comes to the last map just now, which is going to be the Arctic Base. Unfortunately for Sem9, they dealt with so many hurdles, and unfortunately they happen to be still licking their own wound when Fellas ID happen to be appearing themselves out of nowhere into Mission Silo. But for the next rotation, we have Group B versus Group D, which we still gonna have Fellas Indonesia, but I'm looking forward for next rotation, because this time we have ETS, ESTIR the Strong. This is one of the strongest team amongst all of the others as well when it comes to Group B. And don't forget about Boom Esports, they're pretty darn good themselves.
Yeah, who could actually forget about Boom Esports' dominating performance heading into, the first 2 games that we actually do see. So I'm actually super happy to actually witness Boom Esports back in action. And also, of course, ETS, they are one of the most revered teams coming in from the Thailand qualifiers and even challenging the pro players into duels, as well as all these form of number races when it comes down to how much cash, Metro cash that they managed to bring throughout the rounds. ETS is definitely in a very good shape to contest even the very likes of what we are seeing right now, Fellas Indonesia. So I guess that what we're waiting for right now is to really tabulate some of all these numbers. Don't mind the production crew, because, it comes in the form of millions. You want to make sure that every single Metro cash is accounted for.
Now, in case you guys join us just for the first time for Metro Royale, I'm going to remind you guys, we're going to keep you guys updated. What is the main objective of Metro Royale? So basically, the main objective will be maximizing the loot value before heading to the extraction point within the time limit, which going to be the moment, even though it's 20-ish minute that you can actually see on the clock, but it's actually just given around 20 minutes in total. So before we hit into the 10-minute mark, everybody have to extract themselves around the green area, which is going to be the extraction point or zone for the players to eject themselves out. For the tips, you guys have this couple of tips. So first, zombies will attack you on sight, so there's going to be a lot of them randomly spawn. The second is going to be careful, as the other players will try to eliminate you yourself too. So it's not just about the zombies, it's about the other players. But here comes our match ranking. Like I mentioned, it's going to be a landslide, but almost I was hoping really they're going to hit the 20 mil mark by end of this map. Close enough.
Very, very close. I would say that final member 7-9, Luyu, has been able to survive. If that wasn't a takedown, that could have possibly be perhaps that 20 million that we're eyeing out for. Meanwhile, nongYing also gets 300. The rest were absolutely eliminated. So it's going to be Arya to be the chosen one that backs in all the fortune of 5.7 million in total.
Well, this is no surprise. Arya have been the backbone, the biggest backbone for FLS. Remember the first day, he did so well despite his the solo player. And that was the AKG blunder map, by the way. So thankfully for the side of AKG for their blunder, Arya the only one that managed to cash out the most players earning during that round as well. And since then, he's been hitting up the momentum till today. Around almost getting into the 6 million player earnings without eliminations. He's definitely going to be the looter for the team. That's going to be his role for the entirety of the event or the entirety of the tournament this time.
Yeah, and of course, Arya has been doing a really good job, not only in terms of survival, but also to really coordinate some of all of these attacks, as well as how they actually plan on taking down bosses, which is why we are seeing fellas to be so efficient. They started off with pretty much the outskirts of Hamlet, moving into Armory, and then take a very late approach, which they gladly do so because they not only managed to challenge nongYing, but also wipe out the entirety of 7-9, leaving only Luyu to survive so that he could tell his friends and family what happened right here in Missile Silo, because, you know, they're about to make a name for themselves with plenty of that meme going around. But Fellas ID, phenomenal work rate, 18 million in the bank.
Wow.
And now look at the gap. Wow.
This is remarkable, man. 42 million. How to catch up to that? And they got the most player elimination across the board as well, despite we saw how nongYing try to go as aggressive as they can, try to aim for the players instead of the zombies and bosses. It didn't work out so well for the side of nongYing still, but we only seen Boom Esports played 2 maps, and that's going to be yesterday, whilst the Fellas ID, we've seen them playing around 4 maps by now. So Boom, they definitely have more maps to go, and this probably just going to be the start. So we're going to wait and see, can Boom catch up towards the side of Fellas ID in the next few maps and rotation?
Yeah, on top of that, there's also FaZe Clan, who will have to catch up with those numbers as well. For pretty much doable, but it requires them to win at least one of these upcoming maps. So up next, we do have Group B versus Group D. So you will be able to actually see some of all your favorite teams coming in from Group B, like Group Esports, Prime Team, as well as ESTIR the Strong. So with that being said, I am excited to actually see how this one's gonna really turn up, because of how some of all these guys of Fellas ID, they just are ruthless. And on top of that, they are super efficient with those loots. So that is what we want coming into some of all these matches, to really see who exactly is the best in Metro Royale. And right now, it's belonging to Indonesia. So we'll see.
I agree. I mean, we have to wait and see whether Group B will put up contention to Fellas ID. But before that, we're going to head into the break for a bit, so don't go anywhere. See you guys in a couple of minutes.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we are in for even more Metro Royale this time around. It's Chuchu as well as Contra to be your casters throughout the course of all these epic battles coming up ahead. And before we move into our Battle Royale rounds much later on, but wow, what an opener that we've managed to get between Group A as well as Group D. But before we even get to that, here's another thing that you have to check out because we got a lot of interesting promos happening in PUBG Mobile.
PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open for you guys, so call your friends to join a pirate bash and explore the Ocean Odyssey new theme area, the Pirates Booty Island. Collect airdrop tokens and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event and upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. During the Airdrop Carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches, and don't forget to jump into the game from August 16th to 18th to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day!
Wow, that was perfect, Choo-Choo. And on top of that, you have the Galadriel X suit and advanced upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit awards from 8th of August all the way down to the 30th of September. So grab it while it lasts. Well, I tried.
I mean, the date's a bit tricky, yeah. The date's a bit tricky, man. Sometimes it's quite confusing whether it's the month first or the dates first, you know, the day. But speaking of the ads we're done with, so don't forget to check it in game, guys. But next we do have back towards the rotation of Zombie Uprising map. But this time we have different rotation of group, which we're looking for reintroduction of Group B, which is going to be Boom Esports Prime Team and also ESTIR Strong. Now, will it be different when it comes to the outcome? Will FaZe ID or FaZe Indonesia still going to get the #1 spot, or will Boom surprise us, or even the silent team like ESTIR Strong will come back stronger this time around?
I do believe that they'll be able to put up quite the showing heading into this matchup, where ETS, they're also one to not back down from fights when it does happen. So this is definitely going to steer the pot a whole lot more when Group B versus Group D happens from here on. So let's move into our Zombie Uprising match.
Now, we do have Boom starting off here. That's a bit more team on the left side. That's a bit something that they should be concerned with, because for AKG, they might bomb into Boom. Same goes for Team Mantap. But I think ETS, they have a clear view and clear entry towards the side of the Mines Warehouse.
Yeah, they do.
So, the teams on the left side going to have a bit more challenging and challenges compared to the ones actually on the right side.
Yeah, with so many crowd from the get-go, this is where battles are about to take place. AKG, they went in for a couple of battles that was against Sem9 in that different group. This time, they want to go in for an early challenge against Boom Esports. Now, I'm not too sure if it's going to be the smartest of plans right here, because Boom Esports have shown that they are very, very ferocious when it comes down to the battles. But Boom Esports, they are going to start off with those loots, whereas for the rest of AKG, perhaps they're waiting for the right time to pry open this entire compound and lock Boom Esports into the site.
Speaking of Boom, they're not having any problems yet, but I'm waiting for... Now, we don't have Sem9 this time, so we cannot expect them to go straight. But ETS pretty much have the same sort of mindset, just like how Sem9 did. ESTIR Strong, they're going to go straight towards the mine warehouse, going through the tunnel. The problem in the Zombie Uprising map towards the radiation zone, it's going to be there's only 2 entry points here. And there's not much of a different route for them to get in and out. So it's pretty much easily gatekept by the other teams. But as long as you got there in time, and way more earlier than the rest of the other team, and you can just capitalize over the area of radiation, which is going to be the mines warehouse. It's pretty much secure and done deal for their outcome by the end of the day when it comes to the loot values.
Yeah, it seems like they have always been prioritizing some of all these high-value loots from inside of ETS, and now that they are unchallenged, things definitely look to be pretty interesting on how things could actually be for the Thai squad. Whereas for the side of Team Prime, they're from the outskirts as they slowly challenge all these zombies as well as get any form of loot coming in from the lighthouse. And oh boy, they already found themselves a red box for them to open things up.
Speaking of the red box, always the surprises of zombies. But what kind of zombies in there? Will there be any abnormals or not? But there's going to be a couple of high value loot. When you see red color, it's going to be a good sign. Aria have to deal with the zombies by himself, but it's not going to be a problem at all. I think he just casually just let the zombie hit a couple of it. It's not really that much painful compared to those bosses. Of course, the bosses, you cannot ignore their hit points because it's going to be enormous and it's difficult for you to deal with yourself. But on the side of Boom, they might actually have a new contender here. AKG, is it to take it away again, or will they fail to do so once more?
He's going to be hiding behind the box. What can I Am Jago do right now? He does spot one through the staircases, being wrapped all around. Things are not looking good with the ball toss being tossed in at the same time. But BD definitely have done a huge load of damage towards the members of Boom Esports. Now they're withered down with only 2 members remaining.
At least AKG have a better outcome than the previous run here. Definitely a bit of a comeback when it comes to comparing the last few maps before. But Boom, they have to even deal with the variant P right now. This is not the best time, buddy, for you to spawn out. I mean, that's even 2 bosses up there. I mean, with 2 players left on the side of Boom, this is definitely going to be not the best time for Boom. Oh my god.
Yeah, this is just so tough for them, as they do have to deal with, ultimately, Arkong that's arrived to the scene, and they will wipe away Boom Esports to show who's going to be the one to rule the school compounds. And wow, what an opening round. Arkong with a huge bounce back heading into this matchup of Group B versus D.
Oh, this is gonna be tough for Boom. I mean, like we talked about, can Boom actually catch up to FLS? And right now, it's definitely a no-no, but they are dealing with 2 bosses at the same time. AKG, can they survive this? With only 2 players, with dealing with 2 bosses, Variant P, another big Boomer with full armor. I'm not so sure about this, buddy.
Yeah, this is really going to be a really tough ordeal. They also do have to heal up, but should be able to clear up. What I'm really impressed with the side of AKG is that they only have these 2 members to really pull off a heist moving into these matchups. So, of course, I do wish them the best of luck because there's still plenty of time left in this match. Of course, we'll get back into how the rest of these other teams are faring. Meanwhile, ETS, the current wants to be able to rack in all the big points coming from the mine warehouse. So there's still some catching up to do despite AKG winning some of these trades.
Speaking of the trade-off, definitely there's going to be a lot of high loot value out there. But for Team Mantap, it's going to be prime team that happen to be popping their heads around the corner. And there's still a lot of times on the clock, but they're definitely aware of the situation here for the side of Team Mantap. They're hiding themselves on top of the rooftop. Whether they're waiting for either Team Prime Team or FLS to just pass and just get away with it and just going to leave them be, or are they actually up to do with whatever the consequences here now? The moment they start to open fire against each other, this is definitely going to be FLS doing like how they always do, taking advantage of the other team situation, which is going to be always their biggest advantage by the end of the day.
Yeah, and right now with Haley holding over on the top side of the roof, they're going to have some significant advantages, but the nades are being primed right in, literally from Team Prime at the moment, hoping to just find a way to wither them down. But here we go. First casualty coming in from the side of Team Mantap. Doesn't seem like there was much of a response. Stonko going headstrong into the sector of play, and here goes 2 to 3 members just swarming through buildings after buildings as they took out one after another. And there you go, a full swing to get all of these members pretty much out of the match.
It's going to be tough to watch, man. For Team Prime Team, definitely a big win. They do actually get some couple of value out of Team Mantap. They did had some valuable loot before. But there comes nighttime. And nighttime with a boss plus a horde of zombie coming in. I'm not sure if FLS is super interested after they heard what's happening here right now, because they definitely heard the noise coming around. So I'm not sure if they're just going to go and pass by, or they actually take a bit of a pause to just listen what's happening here.
Yeah, perhaps they would eventually chime right in. Now down to Noel. What does Noel do though? He's got to stay so quiet. There's only one corner of the room that they have probably not checked. And even despite them doing so, I mean, the results will still probably end up with Team Mantap to be cleared out eventually. So maybe he could just slowly trail behind Team Prime to slowly find the evacuation zone, and by then, that stalking might actually pay dividend later on. But for now, if he wants to exact revenge and just go after at least one target, that could be pretty all right to do so as well.
Well, as long as he survives, he can actually get value out of it. He can't do a thing right now. He's just going to play it safe and play it quiet. But ETS, well, they definitely have no problem at all inside of the mine warehouse. But I'm waiting for FLS. We don't see them anywhere nearby for now. I'm being quiet for a bit. This is unusual coming up from the side of FLS, really. So, for Prime Team, they're going to check every corner possible. But they definitely didn't see this one coming from the outside. Now, all he needs to do is just wait it out and hope that nobody trying to have a peek here for the side of Noel. AKG play also does around the corner. Noel, don't move a muscle, buddy.
Oh boy. And it seems like that will be pretty much the end of the line for the side of Team Mantap for their first match of the day between Group B as well as D. But hey, Team Mantap, I guess they really have to take certain areas which is much safer to begin with, where we see a whole lot of teams moving into this quarter of all these lighthouses as well as these outer compounds, because there are still bosses lurking around without needing to commit into the mine warehouse entirely. So with that said, Arkong has also arrived to the scene, so we are getting another battle going through.
BJ. There's 2 players left, fake AG. Yep, make it 1. Even Nate at that, but here comes the Heart of Zombie just to make it difficult for the side of Prime Team from behind. And you open fire, and there's also a boss down there. I don't think that's a real boss anyway. It's probably just going to be the right-hand man of the boss. Probably a first mate or something for the side of zombies. Just trying to do something unusual just now. But on the side of Naeem, at least there's no ball spawning around, so it's gonna be okay for them to deal the hot by himself. But AKG, where to run and where to lead, and FLS out of nowhere, the numbers going up and shooting for more.
Yeah, they're really looking to impress in this matchup right now. FLS currently with 2.7 million at the moment, as they just focus surely onto just looting up. A very solid game plan so far, considering the fact that, they will have plenty of space somewhere towards the central grounds. Meanwhile, for the side of Arkong, 1 member remaining though, so it's really down to what arms Coco would be able to really pull up with so little to play for. But at the very least, they start off strong. They have 4 elimination points. It's not going to be an empty-handed round for the entire squad, to say the very least. So, liking what I'm seeing, but for the moment, the rest of Prime, they're also racing up against ETS. To my surprise, ETS has lower value despite being somewhere in the mining area.
I think they're still trying to wait for any spawns of bosses around there. But FLS, despite not getting too much of the most prime spot they hope for, I think they're pretty okay for now. So I guess when it comes to a zombie uprising map, getting the radiation zone probably not going to be the highest sometimes. It depends if you know where you're working about and how you actually work around with the map. Because it feels like FLS, whenever it comes to zombie uprising map, they never get themselves into the mines warehouse. Because they know for a fact that it's going to be enough for them to loot whatever there is from the outside. And straight away, they find themselves a extraction point, not wasting no more time. Despite it's night time, it's still 7 minutes on the clock. Already ejected himself out. Probably just to avoid what's going to happen next. Because Prime Team seems to be very interested in where FLS at.
Yeah, and looking at the current standpoint as well, it is going to be a tough predicament for the rest of FLS to eventually spot out this lurk coming from the side of nongYing. Not that nongYing has any clue at all at the moment as well. So the rest of FLS, they need to prepare for this, or else that 3 million might dwindle down all the way to 0 if it wasn't actually be going to be safe for them. But it seems like FLS, they're in the underground passage, so coast is clear, at least for the time being.
Now the hordes of zombies are here. Timing still available for the side of Prime Team FLS. They definitely have a different idea about what's going to happen next. They're not ejecting where Aria is actually ejecting as well. They're going to go into just to take a bit of chances here. They go straight into the mines warehouse. This is quite concerning because we do know for a fact that ETS has been there the longest. Now, they might jeopardize the entirety of their value here if FLS willing to take the chance. But if they actually take the risk, it's going to be a big haul coming up from the side of FLS. But the problem is, Aria already ejected himself out, so they're definitely lacking manpower here.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a little bit tricky for them to actually work things out, especially when they do exit. Do they actually exit into the same area where Prime is currently holding out to? This is something that they also do have to consider if there's going to be any form of alternatives, if that's going to be the case. Now it's back to daytime. Perhaps less zombies for them to deal with, or should I say the swarm, will be less potent at the moment. Stone Cold and the rest of Prime so far with those 5-point valuation coming from eliminations are just going to work pretty much together just to clear out some of all these running zombie doggos. And the boomer coming in to actually give a scratch towards the back. A little bit of a jump scare moment for Silent Stone Cold, but he's going to be A-OK for now. Whereas it's just happy looting days for inside of FLS as well as ETS to still carry on for their spree. Whereas the rest of Prime, they found some car keys. I don't know whose car was left behind in this part of Zombie Uprising, but you probably want to use that car to just run over zombies if you can do so. And I guess one thing's missing. One thing's missing is vehicles.
I think if we get a monster truck here, it would be cool as well. But the problem with the trade-off with a monster truck is that you cannot go into these tunnels and all these radiation zone. There's the trade-off for that. But it would be fun to have a monster truck in this mode as well. But it's going to be a bit too OP, don't you think? Unless if we have a climber zombie that can actually get into the car and choke his tongue around you, like the zombie movies we always watch. We had that one particular zombie that's going to be a normal one. We call it a climber that can actually climb onto those vehicles and wrap his tongue around the player that's actually driving the car. So it's either he's losing his life or he needs somebody else to shoot the tongue around, then can unwrap himself afterwards. So if you drive, you cannot go driving alone. You know, that kind of situation. It'll be fun. It's a bit complicated, but hopefully we're going to have that in Metro Royale in the future.
Yeah, I love the whole idea of actually including that into this current mode of Metro Royale. But perhaps, future updates, we might actually see these kind of instances of newer mutants, zombies, as well as different types of variants to be introduced at the very same time. Meanwhile, for the side of ETS, they only have one member ejected. Prime has already gotten off of this match with a total value of 1.2 million. 3 minutes and a half left on the clock. Sonhai, one of the star players coming from ETS, scouting out and about. Is he going to get any form of a catcher coming from the shed? Looks to be nil at the moment because there's just no other teams that's currently within this vicinity. So ETS, they're going to be absolutely safe. They got 2.8 million. Though it might just be slightly lower as compared to FLS, but it has been a really solid haul where a lot of teams so far today, they are just prioritizing on maximizing that value here, moving into Zombie Uprising, and then play for those big numbers heading into the next matchup in Arctic Base.
FLS Last time we saw them pretty much close to ETS, and each of FLS and ETS do have one player ejected out early on. But speaking of timer, you have to be aware of the clock. It's 2 minutes. It's gonna get lesser every second as the time ticks. But have Fel as Dre have to just stumble upon a variant P. Now he needs to deal this, and he cannot deal this by himself unless he knows the weakness, of course. But the problem is, if the variant P got stuck there, probably can actually do that by himself. Yeah, why not? But the problem is, there's going to be a horde of zombies there as well. So he definitely needs help right now. Time's not his side, but you need to get out and find your extraction point soon.
Yeah, he's really got to target the weakness area, which is on the chest, but he's really aiming for the headshot. So it's going to take even longer. 2 minutes left for some Fearless ID as they hope to maximize whatever value that there is. But I do believe that there should be an evacuation point not too far off from where they are. So Jerry will try to actually secure a little bit more, but he's in trouble right now with full charge coming in from the variant. It will be hurting him a whole lot. So I think they might just have to ditch this game plan and move directly to the evacuation zone because it's only 1 minute and a half left.
Too much at risk here. They're jeopardizing everything. They even need to revive his teammate. Oh no, this is no time. Oh, lucky enough for him, he managed to just hit just another variant P, so it's gonna be enough time. 1 minute on the clock. Definitely have to be super fast about it. Might as well just loot last minute right across them for the box. But the thing is, how far is the extraction point here right now? ETS not ejecting himself just yet. The zombies coming in here. Just find the loot. Last minute, trying to find a nitpicking. It's not gonna be the best bet here, but definitely get the most expensive one. It's gonna be 1 minute left. Lesser than that. Time's ticking. FLS, can they make it out as ETS ejecting themselves, the whole squad out?
And that will only mean that there's only going to be 2 more members left. And this member of AKG is going to be pretty much out in the open. There's no evacuation point nearby as well. Armsucko, where exactly can he go with less than 40 seconds right now to make the cut? And he doesn't see that green sign anywhere up in the air. So I think Team Arkong, they may not actually get any points at all, but for FLS, they will eject out this matchup with close to 5 million.
You can do it, buddy. 20 seconds on the clock. All you need to do is 10 more seconds to find the extraction point, and then you're good to go. Well, feels like a deja vu for Arkong now. Definitely a deja vu. Now, at least they still have some earnings out of this. They even got 4 eliminations. Oh, that's going to be worth what? A 4 elimination worth 1.2 million at least.
It's just so sad that, with that extra close to 20, or should I say 200,000 in the hands of Armsucko will now result to absolutely nothing, which is kind of sad because they could have actually added perhaps a little bit more of that value to chase up against all the other squads that are not currently playing in this matchup. So Arkong, yet again, they will lose out in the form of time once more. And honestly, where exactly are all these evacuation zones? It seems like everybody has been able to claim it, but not for Armsucko, which is so unfortunate.
And the thing is, I noticed whenever the time is up, which was the 10-minute timer that I have left, that's going to be the last time for you to get yourself ejected out. It will reset a bit for the ejection point, and now it's a bit too late now. It's over a minute too late. Unfortunately, they will ended up with the 0 for Arkong or AKG. And that's going to be another punishing round for the side of AKG. Now, 2 times they did that and did not fare well. I mean, like, even though it's pretty difficult to catch up to the #1 team, but at least show some progress. And definitely they did not get any progress from that last map just now because of how they didn't score anything due to their timer that kind of overdue.
Yeah, it's just so sad to actually see it happen again to Arkong, but for Fearless ID, they continue on their shopping spree, or should I say, bagging all of the money in the bank in the form of Metro Cash. It's 4.5 million to close out this round. So great work so far. Fearless Indonesia continues to dominate the circuit of Metro Royale.
Well, FLS, there's no stopping them. Fellas ID, we thought Boom might actually have a shot at taking them over, but unfortunately for Boom, they've been gunned down with his teams way early on. Didn't even last couple of minutes into the game just now. Didn't even put any actions in. So we're gonna have to wait and see. Will it be different when it comes to Arctic Base? Because Arctic Base is where things get surprisingly fast and surprisingly turning of tide for certain teams. If they can score themselves way more than they hope they would be. This is the turning table for all the teams out there, including even Arkong.
Yeah, I absolutely do agree. This is definitely a chance at redemption for all these other squads out there. Arkong was the one in charge of taking down Boom Esports, if I do recall it very correctly, heading into that particular matchup. And, you know, to actually result to this yet again, like they got to actually make those adjustments because they cannot continuously make this runs of not really gaining points at all. So hopefully, you know, that adjustment will be seen here in this upcoming match. But I think like they suffered enough from yesterday. If you guys really want to know what happened, we're not going to explain it. You go watch the VODs what happened yesterday, okay? Because I assure you, it is going to be a fun time for you guys to just go ahead and check that out. But for now, of course, we focus on what's currently at hand. Fellas ID is right now setting up the standard of what an efficient round of MetroRoyale is going to look like for both maps. They've been able to really put multi-millions on the board and are looking relatively untouchable until FaZe Clan gets some game time.
You know, this is the moment where you wish you can actually convert all the MetroRoyale cash into real-time cash. That's going to be millionaires, multi-millionaires in an instant, man. But I agree when it comes to Fellas ID. They are the only team that I feel like when it comes to the fundamentals of MetroRoyale, they got it the strongest of them all, and they are quite well versed when it comes to certain places to loot. Even though for Zombie Uprising, they didn't go for the mines warehouse early on. They know exactly where it's going to be a high loot value, despite it's not a radiation zone. Plus, for me, if you are one of those teams like Boom, right? That actually know the fundamentals of the game itself, and you'll be taken up by AKG, and AKG didn't even finish their round because they didn't manage to extract out. That's so frustrating because you just shot us down and you didn't get any point. And what's the main reason for that in the first place? Do you have anything personal and a beef against us? That's going to be the question that being raised up and flagged by Boom, of course.
Yeah, and of course, perhaps they will just laugh it out and say, hey, perhaps this is karma as well. You should not come and touch us because you might just be jinxed with unfortunate luck heading into all your matches, Arkong. So, of course, jokes aside, you know, like Boom Esports, they definitely want to look for perhaps something to avenge themselves into the next matchup. But here are our results. Boom Esports, Team Mantap, as well as Arkong, unfortunately walks away with 0 points. Meanwhile, the 3 remaining teams, Fellas, ESTIR Strong, as well as Prime Team, will at least close in with a couple of millions in the bank. Of course, with Fellas ID taking the top spot, ESTIR Strong on second, as well as Prime Team on third. So it has been really close, though, if we compare ESTS as well as Prime Team.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like Arkong, okay? Arkong, if they manage to extract every single time, even though despite they made a bit of a blunder yesterday, they still can come back slowly but surely because you still have more matches to go, more maps of rotation, by the way. I just hope this is not going to be their last straw with whatever they're doing. But another chosen one for the fortunes this time, none other than Arya once more. I think he might as well just get the prime chosen one by the end of the entirety of tournament. It has been Arya a lot of times for the our MVP or the chosen one in the MetroRoyale multiple times.
Yeah, this is about more than 80% of all the loot's worth into the hands of Fellas ID, just in his baggage alone. So we take a look again on how they've been able to actually approach this matchup. FLS, they looted their power plant, they moved into Garden Mason, and just look at that. Like you did manage to point out early on, the teams over the West were the ones keeping themselves busy with some of all these battles. Meanwhile, those that started off with the West had so much arrow to really control. Even Fellas have been able to spend just about enough time to cut from the Guardian Maison into the mine warehouse to really maximize those big numbers before they book out of that match.
Woo! Well, that's a whopping amount. It's almost that's definitely more than half, man. What a gap. Just give these guys trophy right now. I mean, 1,500 years. They're probably going to be in already 50% in fellas Indonesia's hand right at the current being, because of how dominated they are when it comes to getting into one of the top teams in the league stage or the group stage here right now. But we're going to have to wait and see when it comes to the grand finals later. But come on, AKG, don't let us down again. I mean, they definitely can and deserve more than this. I mean, for the sake of a team, right?
Yeah, absolutely deserve so much more if they manage to close out rounds, that is. So that's something that they will have to really learn to fix in a very short notice. So moving into the next matchup, it will be our final B versus D before we move into B versus C. So it definitely will be very interesting. Arkong now has shown that they won those battles. They want to take trades, then to really prioritize on those loots. So may as well just go all out, and by then, 10 minutes on the clock, they should be out of match. But of course, once again, before we start off our matchup, we do have a carnival for you guys to participate in, and it is the Airdrop Carnival Pirate Bash.
You're not going to use your pirate voice this time. I'm waiting for it. Go ahead.
Okay, you just give me one moment to do so. All right, I think I'm ready. Wait, give me one moment as I do pop it up. And of course, you may, of course, explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area, Pirate Booty Island. Collect airdrop token and head to the Airdrop Carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set or emote of your choice. During the Airdrop Carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches, as this will only last till the 18th of August to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day. I don't think I suit to be on the boat or even.
You should put it in A, and then by the end of it, just A, and that's it. That's gonna be more than enough, and that's gonna be enough for the pirates, slang. By the end of the okay, let me try mine, okay? I think this is pretty much straightforward for me. Galadria X Suit Advanced Upgradable MG3 is now available. Join the event and unlock coupons and limited outfit award from 6th to 13th of August 2024. Don't forget, get your new X Suit available in PUBG Mobile right now.
My Choo-Choo. I'm just really glad that, we're not in the same studio, because right now, I feel like taking out my wallet and just passing my money. Like, whatever you're selling, I will just, give it to you. Like, okay.
I think you should close your one eye just to have a bit of a pirate vibe. And maybe just have some bottle of water and just like,
I need a pet parrot. That's what I really need, so that the parrot can do the talking for me, because maybe the parrot knows how to be a better pirate.
They're going to blame the pirate, the non-existent pirate? What is wrong with the parrot? I mean, sorry. Like, you need a parrot just for the sake of voiceover. Might as well the pirate gets money for this. He needs to get paid. I mean, it would be cool. I mean, like, if you have a pet and your pet actually do the job for you, I mean, that would be fun to, live by every day. You don't have to think too much.
Oh, I wish that the parrot could also pay my bills for me and take care of laundry at the very same time. But that's not going to happen. But we can only wish. So, of course, at least parrots can talk, but you still have to train them to act like a pirate.
That's the more reason now you have to adopt a zombie. If we can get a zombie to do our house chores, it'll be nice too, right? If only we can actually do and train zombie. Like a zombie, this zombie is for laundry. This zombie, I definitely don't want the zombies to touch my food. So there's no cooking zombies, okay? This zombie is for the sweeping the floor. If only we could actually train zombies, and zombies actually like in the game, that would be pretty cool as well, right? And so you don't have to think too much. Maybe they cannot really pay your bills, but they can help you do something around the house at least.
Yeah, I don't know about training zombies, but if there's ever one near me, I know that I will turn into another zombie. So I guess, I'd rather not have zombies around where I'm staying for sure. But, I guess in real time zombie apocalypse like that, we've seen probably like maybe at least 1 or 2 films in our lifetime. If you guys have not watched any zombie film, like I don't know what you're doing with your life, man. Like you
Go
guys
watch
gotta
one, guys.
go ahead and watch at least one.
There's so many good movies for zombies. Like, if you guys want a comedy one, I'm sorry, there's gonna be ads from you. Okay, Zombieland is one of it. In Zombieland, there's a sequence of it as well. You guys should definitely watch that one. If you want something more serious and something like more heroic for you, I Am Legend definitely gonna be one of the best on top of the list up there for the movies. There's so many zombies movies. I'm waiting for a new one coming out. But you know what? Another new coming of another zombie map. It's gonna be the Arctic base. Let's go for the round 2.
Here we go. And we were talking about movies and shows. You know, one of my favorite was actually Train to Busan because of how it's been pretty interesting on how they have a very different take. But this is a little bit similar in the form of having mining carts instead. It's a mining cart, you know? Like,
There's no
take
train.
And
But there's no subway train. I mean, they probably should do it one day. I mean, it would be really cool if we have a map just based on subway trains, right?
Yeah, but we do have the underground. We do seem to have somewhat of a subway without the train, so not too bad.
But the movie title is Train to Busan. So this is what?
Mining cart to Busan. Mining cart to
Busan.
Arctic base. Mining cart to Arctic base. That's what it is.
That's so lame, buddy. Mining cart. Who wants to jump in a mining cart and fight zombies, guy? Wow, so epic. That's going to be the best movie of 2024. Wow.
Well, I'm pretty sure that nobody's going to be buying that ticket with such a long name, but I got to come up with something catchier for ticket sales if that's going to be the case. But meanwhile, of course, we take a look at the mini map. There's going to be a couple of teams that's going to be very close by to each other. And meanwhile, for the side of Bella's ID, they're already moving into the missile silo, I do believe, for them to get those juicy loots from the get-go. Meanwhile, I believe that teams like Boom as well as Team Mantap, they might just be close to each other. So we'll see whether we get another early battle once again.
You know, I feel bad for Team Mantap. They barely make any progress due to how many early skirmishes they have to go against. I mean, there's always an option to just part ways and back off and go for another route, maybe a longer rotation. Probably the best, even though it requires a bit more time. But maybe you bump into a surprise. Who knows? You go to the route less traveled by all the other players and actually get something and caught by surprise, right? Maybe a extra different loot value rather than going to mission silo. But FLS, they want to go mission silo. They have to cut across Prime team, and it seems like they are actually heated up for a fight right now.
Really going for 2 takedowns in a row. Land just absolutely hitting the mark. Going for a double, tossing in the Molotov just to save some of all these bullets, while the rest of the pack of fellas, they're dealing with those hordes moving into the inner side of the compound, perhaps taking on the boss as well. Meanwhile, there's no entry point for the rest of Prime in order to go in for a challenge to Bang Kapuk. What can he do? Right behind the truck, big things are being tossed towards the side of nongYing as well. Not looking so good as a starter. Whereas, fellas, they're absolutely dominating.
Prom, I don't know. I mean, like, Brom feels like he belongs to Battle Royale kind of mode player, but he definitely knows what he's doing when it comes to Metro Royale, so he can balance out both whenever he needs to. And that fellas, they already got himself almost $1 million worth of loot value, and nongYing will be the next target here. Bang Kapuk and also nongYing, I think it's best for them to just back out for now. There's no for them to find the entire crew of FLS, and they still can make it through with whatever time and life they actually have left, even fight against zombie, and it's still doable for Prime team as long as they don't lose the entire crew here.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky for them to make an exit because look at the outskirts, look at the terrains. It's wide out in the open. Other than these walls that's keeping them pretty much secluded from the grasp of FLS. But look at Pram. He goes in for a White Fang and immediately securing a double in his hands. 2 for Land, 2 for Aria, and they will be able to also stash in 1.2 million in the form of takedowns.
Oh, I don't know why they still commit to it for the side of Prime. They definitely did not have any progress at all since the start of their rotations here when it comes to Group B versus Group D. And they cannot afford to lose more maps rotation once they're doing this. I mean, yeah, it's fun to actually fight against the other players, but the problem is you didn't score anything for your last round as well. So for your in-game tips, guys, there's always have to be careful because the other players will try to eliminate you, but you can also opt for going the other way round. Go the other way round. And just another tip, loot around the map to maximize your loot value for extraction. So that's the objective of MetroRoyale in the first place, which is going to be maximizing the loot value before you head over to the extraction point within the time limit, which is going to be still 50 minutes on the clock here. And that's definitely a lot of time, plenty for Prime Team just now.
Yeah, I do agree with you right there and then because the number one thing that teams have to do is to ensure their own safety, and then the loot comes a second, right? But if you don't survive, all these loot mean absolutely nothing. So Prime, they will once again walk out with 0. And I guess like teams like Fellas IV or even squads like Semline, they all have a game plan when they move into each respective matchup. Same goes to Arkong, but right now is spending some time dancing off, whereas the rest of Boom Esports have finally made it into the radiation zone of Missile Silo as well. So this is where it will be a little bit tough, but they are throwing those grenades already right over onto the side of Boom Esports. Despite not connecting, Boom, now on a high alert, will pop those smokes to try to infiltrate and push through.
Now, AKG is starting off with the trio as a start. They definitely didn't want to force a fight too long. But Boom, they don't want to commit too much here. They know for a fact that it's going to be waste a lot of time against AKG. And they do have the lower ground disadvantage as well. So it's not the best case scenario for them to force it out against AKG, despite they only have a trio. But the radiation zone or the mission silo area right now definitely in high contest for these two teams right now. I'm waiting for FLS to pop as well, but for AKG, despite they trying to force them out, but you know what, Boom gonna take the fight anyhow, and that's within seconds. They're gone. Pooyah by Boom.
Wow, it was just so efficient coming from the side of Boom Esports, and I guess dancing doesn't really help in these scenarios. Arkong once again 0 points, where they could have actually avoided all these form of fights. They were trying to gatekeep the rest of Boom, but the side of Boom Esports have always faced so many difficult battles in those Battle Royale mode, and this is just another familiar day at work once again. So Boom, they were happy to take on that fight. They will be able to reap that 3 points of eliminations as well, bagging a total of 900k at the moment in that instance. And now over on the side of Team Mantap, I'm happy to actually see them really stashing into close to 1 million right now. So it should be a very safe route because they're over onto the mountains to really take a very safe option in this match.
Oh, at least for Boom, also there seems to be a bit of light by the end of the tunnel. They have a better run after they're done with AKG, but I want to see a bit of FLS too, like how much more they can actually get. Are they heading towards the side of Mission Silo as well? And are all teams actually having the same idea? But I don't think Team Mantap want to go for Mission Silo. It doesn't feel like they actually hovering around just to go there. But for ETS now, last round was huge for ETS, but unfortunately they didn't make it through, I think. And this time it's a bit of redemption time. I think they're nearby the Mission Silos area here as well. Last time we saw Boom was around the corner, so we're gonna have to wait and see, will they force the fight out of Boom, or will Boom be surprised by the presence here?
Yeah, what ETS could also do is also to camp out over onto this bottom end of the undergrounds, which will definitely take a lot of time. But now that all these areas of the power plant might have actually been looted up over onto the missile silo, they might be left with not too much. But at the very least right now, ETS, they got 2 million in the form of value being added so far. The rest of Boom Esports so far are still on a hunt to look for even more, because in Arctic Base, we've expected teams to have closed out within like 7 million even hitting into the match, at least on an average, if you do take that win. So there's still plenty to play for here with about 10 more minutes on the clock. Whereas the rest of Team Mantap, they don't really want to commit into anything all too serious in the form of battle. So just waiting along the outskirts, playing it very safely. Already 4 more thousand for them to reach 1 million for a point. But boom, they really are stashing in a whole lot.
Because they can. They definitely need to, because last round, they didn't get anything out of their last round just now in the Zombie Uprising. But FLS ETS, they're probably going to be boom lurking around as well. This is going to be fun. FLS, they're definitely going to spot out a new contender and a new contention in the same area of Mission Silo. And they have plenty, hefty amount of loot in there. 4 million, hitting 2-5 anytime now. I think they're trying to transfer some of the items towards their teammate, where they will try to force a fight here. We still have plenty of time, but I think Team Mantap, they want to be just enough. You know, we almost got 1 million. It's okay, we're just going to eject out. We don't want to risk anymore, because the entire day they didn't have a very good run. So this definitely understandable what they are planning for the side of Team Mantap. But for FLS and ETS, now FLS, definitely they have some transfers going on between the players. They're going to let the fraggers empty out their pockets. We're leaving some of the items towards probably Arya, who will eject himself out first.
Yeah, I would say that Team Mantap, they've been able to pull off a smart play to just make it out alive very early. But for the rest of ETS, not so hot though. 2 members being knocked down, and they are currently dealing with a big situation here with flank coming from Silence Dairy. They get all of the members pretty much shredded out. Bella's ID once again reigns supreme in the matchup. 8 total eliminations in the bag.
ETS, that's a lot of high value loot, by the way. And this pushing the numbers up within an instant. It was boom just now taking the reign over at #1 spot with this map. But after taking over the side of ETS, that's definitely going to be them again. Are they going to hit the 20 million? That's another question once more we're going to have, because it's just between FLS and Boom. And if Boom been discovered by FLS, which I think they're not that too far off, but they are pretty much in the same spot, in the same area, just a bit far, probably around 100 meters apart between them and the other team. And maybe less than that in this case. Can FLS finish off Boom? If they do, then they probably going to hit the sweet spot 20 million by the end of the day, because seems like Japan is going forward into the direction of FLS right now.
Or perhaps it could also be Boom to steal away all the big earnings out of Bella's ID. Dappen, he's already in position. This is going to be very scary of an ordeal. Whereas, over and back, Dappen now 1 versus 1 against Pram. Pram quickly dodges all the stray bullets, and right now, a full collapse. That's right in. Booyah goes in for a jump shot. Does not really connect. Shots coming in from the back as well. Arya,
Arya, 5 million.
Arya. He goes down as well. 1-for-1 trade. Lan will find his way through. And now 2 more members left for the side of Boom Esports. The shots are connecting. And now it's only 1 member left for the side of Fellas that's currently alive. And Iron Jackal's catching fire as well.
Oh, this is not great, but for the side of Fellas' idea, at least it's a knockdown, not a complete elimination, like how they lost Puya just now. Totally, their value knocked after being finished off that one player, it just dropped down to 6 million by now. Boom, they need a safe spot, but for FLS, it's down to 1 player. And Arya got over 5 million worth of loot. He got knocked down. This is a turning tide. Boom. With 3 players they're trying to finish off. They need to loot up the box of Arya. They need to find Arya, because that's going to be 5 million, 100% in their hand.
But honestly, they'll be very happy to just take these 3 players out, because all these numbers that we saw coming from FLS are now dwindled down to only 2 million or even less. So what's going to be the call here? That final member of FLS, how much value is he carrying? Because it's usually Arya that has the most loot, and Arya is already knocked down.
Arya is already probably bleeding out and not gonna get finished off by Boom, of course, and already loot out the box. It was over 5 million on only Aria alone. That's already a 5 million in the hands of Boom. Now look at the numbers going up. They definitely found the box laying around right now. They got over 10 million. How things have changed. Boom is coming back to contest that #1 spot. Welcome back for Boom.
That's crazy. In just that battle alone, they have managed to steal everything that was earned from the side of FaZe ID, leaving only close to 700,000 only for the member that does survive. But the only kind of reprieve that LAN has is that the team has managed to wipe away 9 players throughout the course of the battle. So there's still about 2 million or so that's currently in the back in the form of elimination points whatsoever.
But it's still worth something. I mean, by the end of this round, they're still gonna get like what? 2.7 plus another 1 million, almost 4 million in total when it comes to their total earnings by end of this round. And LAN at least still had some value by himself here, despite it's not as much as Aria, but the moment they lost Aria, that's where, you know what, that's why Aria always eject himself first, knowing the fact he carries too much risk just by stay himself in the map. That's the biggest problem here when you don't eject on time. And now the countdown left with only 4 minutes to go. And look at how Boom just pushed the number up. That's 5 million Aria's box, another 5 million with the other 2 players, and the rest was coming up from Boom value only. That's crazy. 16 mils, and they try to push even more, almost 16. They try to get the 16 mils and just eject out, plus the eliminations by end of the day. Boom definitely almost hitting that 20 mil in Arctic base alone.
Yeah, and we also managed to find another gold bar, now adding the tally even higher for inside of Boom Esports.
Wow.
I'm really happy for these guys because it's a huge comeback. Remember, Boom Esports, they had 0 points from that previous round. Just by taking out FaZe ID, they just regained that tempo. They also gained so much more in the form of Metro Cash. But of course, LAN is just saying, well,
he tried.
Why did this happen at the moment? But of course, he definitely tried.
I want to see if Boom can actually have the highest number. So far, we got the highest. Was it the last round of FLS actually finished off, or the early Arctic base, or was it yesterday? So far, it was today. Yeah, it's almost hitting over 80 million, right? 18 million was the magical number. Yeah, can they break the record as the highest earning across all rounder for the side of Boom in Arctic base for this round?
It's probably going to be
slightly
pretty
difficult.
much able to
because
look
they
at
have
that.
They have 3 players. Just now, when FLS did that, they have 4. So, do they have enough pockets for that?
I think they actually do. Let's take a look at that. You also do count the iterations on top, and now 15 mil already in the back. Final last-ditch effort for them to still try to look around if they could actually exchange some of all these loots for a higher value heading into this current scene. They will just eject and will cash in 16 million to close off the round.
What a turn of events, man. But lucky enough, at least they have 1 player alive on the side of FLS to do something out of getting nothing, right? Worst case scenario, that's going to be what's happening. And surprise, surprise, 16 million is still not the highest overall and across all the games of Arctic base, but still, Boom, what a turnaround. And FLS, I mean, they definitely devastated with what the outcome just now, but high risk, high reward, and fortune actually favors the brave here this time.
Yeah, and Boom Esports, they were definitely very bold and brave to be able to not only win that form of a trade. Remember, they had to deal with Arkong before they moved right in, where, you know, that was maybe just a roadblock. It wasn't exactly the most lethal target because none of the members of Boom Esports have fallen to what Arkong has tried to set up. And, you know, I kind of wish Arkong would have actually fancied their chances a little bit more if they actually join into the missile silo at the very same time to make it a three-way battle. So other than that, I'm just looking at FaZe ID. did they overcommitted their time into missile silo? Perhaps maybe a little long until, you know, other teams have finally stormed right in. So Boom Esports, they were very tactical on those battles. They have been able to eventually seek out 3 members at the very least, though it would have been absolutely golden if they also catch the final member remaining. But FaZe ID, they walk away with some points at the very least, so happy for them. But for the rest of the teams out there, sad to say, like, when you're gonna be down and out, you just don't really walk away with much. So beggars can't be choosers. That's just scenario of almost every competition where, you know, there's always gonna be a winner. Then there are those that have to learn and also lose to gain even more knowledge.
But the thing is, right, that was the last map of the day coming up from the side of Group D. Now, fellas Indonesia or fellas ID, unfortunately, they have to bow out after the curtains close for them for day number 2, yeah, and they have to just settle with whatever they have left with one particular player. At least they still got some eliminations value out of it too, right? That's going to be like still the best case scenario on the side of fellas ID. But also when it comes to the next rotation of the map, we're back to Zombie Uprising and also Arctic Base, which is going to be Group B and C, which means Boom Esports have the opportunity that might actually topple down fellas ID from their number 1 spot, because right now I have a feeling the gap in between Boom and also FLS or fellas ID, it's not that far off after that one particular map just now.
Yeah, it's true enough, but also keep in mind that back in Zombie Uprising, there was a huge form of deficit where Boom Esports didn't even walk away with a single point, being eliminated so early on. So this is kind of offsetting some of all the losses that they kind of had throughout that Zombie Uprising. But even if you split half and half, that's also averaging to at least more than 7 billion per round. You know, like, we are still calculating when if you add some of all of these value of elimination points, how much does Boom actually put in? Because I believe it could have actually closed into potentially 18 billion as well moving into this matchup.
Probably gonna have to wait and see. This is what we're waiting for here right now. But I love the fact that it also gives some sort of morale boost for the team like AKG, hopefully, when after they watch this game here. Because Boom Esports just happened to be closing almost 18 mil. So close. Another 100,000 probably gonna hit the 18 mil here. And fellas ID, at least they closed the game with almost 5 million at 4,741,855 just now. While Team Mantap, you know what, they don't want to be extra greedy. They want to settle with what they have. At least they don't overstay themselves, despite they have so much time to still loot out from. But they don't want to. They actually made a good decision. They saw what's coming for fellas ID, and they know they don't want to be in the same spot, just like how FLS did. So it was quite okay to be not as greedy, but it means that a bit slow progress for Team Mantap. But at least, hey, Team Mantap managed to stay alive for this round.
Yeah, really, really strong progress, especially now for other teams that did manage to actually add much. They are going to be leapfrog up ahead, but the chosen one in this matchup is none other than Ayam Jago from Boom Esports. And look at that earning, Choo. I wish this is US dollars on the line, you know? I mean, technically they are, but it's not at 6 million. You know, $6 million US dollars, you can retire. You can even retire grandchildren, even when you don't have grandchildren yet. Like, this is life-changing money, you know?
Personally, I feel like 6 million probably just going to be you retire and your children. That's not even down to grandchildren, because money really just, you know, flow like a river these days. But when it comes to player earning, I think this is one of the highs. There's also quite a number of eliminations out there. So before this, we had around 4 or 5 millions, but this is going to be hitting the 6 million. I want to see, is it possible for one single player to get carried out the player earnings up to 10 million per person now?
Yeah, it is really huge when you come to think about it. Like, for you to be able to really spend so much time just to back all these for loot, you must be pretty lucky to be able to do so and not get caught at the very same time. But for Boom Esports, they're the ones catching opportunities, catching out the highest target. When fellas ID, they've been playing so many rounds that we see them going pretty much unchallenged for certain points of time. Boom Esports was the one daring enough to really take the fight up against them. But of course, saying that, I don't really want to take too much credit away from FaZe idea on how efficient they were on those rounds that they did manage to win as well. Because when they do, things look really clean. The execution in team fights have been impeccable. And so far, just looking back into this matchup, the turning point was inside of Missile Silo, and it was just an all-out brawl, which we saw only one member left standing for FLS.
But at least they have one person still stands, you know, and that kind of translates into almost that 5 million worth of total earnings, and still quite something, rather than losing it completely and probably even lose half of their total earnings by not if they want particular player to survive. But fellas, I did still taking the lead, but the gap got shrink down. But this is the time for Boom Esports to take over the map here, since we do have the next rotation of a different group, B versus C, which means fellas ID will have to take a break until next week.
Yeah, and of course, it's been a massive haul overall coming in from Fellas ID. I'm pretty sure that they also do want to catch as much rest and watch the rest of the teams in action. But it's been an Indonesian domination from the top 1 and 2, and also plenty of Thai teams on the first half of the page. But moving from 7th into 12, Arkong so far has only gotten points from that one elimination. And with that steady pacing coming in from other teams, I believe that there's still going to be shifts that we do expect. But there will be more games right now for Group B versus Group C that will be happening up next. So I believe that this is where we get to finally see perhaps some action coming from FaZe Clan.
Or maybe we can expect something unusual for MCL. MCL, we know how unlucky they can get. I still remember, it's still traumatizing for me, not just for them, for me to see when they can actually extract out. It's just worst timing possible for the boss to spawn right on top of the extraction point as well. They had quite a value before that, and I want to see for once for them to actually finish off their run, because most of the time MCR don't really finish off their run due to how aggressive the team can actually get. But we're gonna have to wait for a bit because we're heading into the break, so you guys don't go anywhere. There's gonna be last 2 rotation of map. See you guys in a minute.
We're back once again for even more Metro Royale. This time we're bringing in Group B versus Group C, as this is about to get pretty amazing on how the matches will turn out. Once again, it's Choo as well as Contra to walk you through what will happen throughout the course of all these battles. And you know what, Choo? It is time for us to join in the Pirate Dash. Ahoy, mateys! Call in your rest of your mates and explore the Ocean Odyssey new team area. Pirate Boating Island, collect airdrop tokens and head into the airdrop carnival in-game event to upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for guaranteed set of emotes of your choice. During the airdrop carnival, get daily rating protection for 2 matches, and don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day, ladies and gents.
We got a drunken Asian pirate here, guys. I'm sorry, I can't.
That's the best I could do.
Okay, guys, don't forget we have the Galadriel X-Suit with the advanced upgradable MG3 in the game. Get it now. That's it for me. Oh, and we have to say the dates too, guys. 6 to 13 of August. It's like the party is trying so hard. We have to give him a clap. Thank you, Mr. Pirate Contra.
Thank you. I tried. I really did my best out there. So no more pirate sounds after this because you know it's already the final.
Even a director could hold his laughter just now. He's trying to hold it in. But it's okay. It's a zombie pirate, guys. Just live with it, okay?
Yeah. Well, I guess I saved my voice
man.
for that one. So, yeah, now we will focus back into the battle where, you know, there's not going to be any pirates out there, but you guys definitely want to check out that event because, you know, star protections and so much more of that offering is up for grabs when you play all the game modes in the PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival event. So, with that being said, of course, this is where FaZe Clan finally gets to join in the party as well. We absolutely do miss the presence of what FaZe Clan has to offer. And now, not only do we get FaZe Clan, there's also the rest of the squad coming in from this respective group of Group C with MetroCeria as well as HLV. Out of all the names out there, I think MetroCeria definitely is looking to at least get the Black Parade going. Well, of course, why say Black Parade? Because they're acronym is MCR. So,
you don't have to explain, man. When you explain, you just spoil it.
Okay, I'm sorry. But MetroCeria, I think they're in a really tough spot as well. So this is going to be a chance to climb up against teams like Arkong or even Team Mantap.
Yeah, and speaking of HLV, I think this HLV is pretty much like Hasta La Vista. I think it used to known as that, but it's, you can cut short to HLV. It's also another esports organization. It's pretty much well known back in the PUBG Mobile days. But you know what? We want to see them to be in action. Let's go into Zombie Uprising.
Here we go, ladies and gents. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday evening as we're down to our final 2 Metro Royale matches before we head into Battle Royale rounds, heading later into the afternoon where, you know, Choo will still be accompanying you guys out there. Meanwhile, take a look at the mini-map where we have an equal spread of 3 teams over onto each respective west as well as eastern corners of the map. It's going to be Prime that's going to be furthest away, but it's going to be HLV that has the direct access to get to mine warehouse in a very short moment. So they need to take good advantage of this, or ETS, they will be well on their way to just hit right through from the underground.
Let's go. Our episode 2 of Train to Busan, Minecart to Mine Warehouse. The best movie ever made, guys. Let's do this. But yeah, speaking of, I do want to see if FaZe Clan can actually try to overtake. I think now, right now, the race is going to be in between Boom and FaZe. Plus, none other than fellas Indonesia to just wait it out to see if these 2 teams can actually overtake them by end of these 2 maps, because we're only left with 2 maps here by the end of this round, and we're done for our group stage week number 1. We want to see where the standards are by end of this week.
Yeah, and right now the power rankings are just showing that Fellas ID has just been going on a spree throughout this course of the weekend, but things can definitely change for these upcoming other weeks throughout the group stages. But keep in mind, you don't really just have to hold on to that number 1 spot. You just have to make it through the top 6. And currently, look at names like FaZe Clan to also be up there in the charts alongside with Boom. It's been a really tough way for other teams to crack in because it consisted of majority of these teams coming from Thailand as well as Indonesia at the moment. And of course, having Sem9 to be part of the top 3 as well.
Yep. But also the bigger question, I feel like, okay, we don't want to put too much of a high standard, right? Yeah, great for the top 3 teams, but also don't forget about, I'm hoping for a great run for all the teams that we never get. Do we even have one time or one map run that we have all teams safely ejected themselves? I don't think so, right? There's always going to be somebody being sacrificed in the game every single time. It's either whether a person or an individual player or even usually it's going to be the case of an entire team.
Yeah, I guess like throughout the course of the group stages, there has been pretty much casualties across these matches. But for the qualifiers, I believe perhaps there was only one game or so that had all the players to be surviving. But did they eject is the question, because some of these guys didn't even eject or evacuate the scene when they have stashed out all these loots. But of course, lessons to be learned along the way. And right now, I think that it won't happen again. I hope. I really sincerely
you
hope.
say it too soon, man. We talked about this today, start of our day. We hope it will not happen again. And that somebody is always going to be the same team, by the way. But speaking of that, somebody also not going to have a great start. It's going to be MCR once more. This is tough to watch. I mean, MCR... They always know what to do in the game, but unfortunately, they always bump into another team every single time they start the map.
Yeah, and I guess like the early game is the most dangerous because teams do tend to spawn not too far away from each other. So that being the case, like how do you exactly avoid the fights is going to be tough. And speaking of which, look at MCR, there is a herd of zombies moving towards this side, and this is just going to reveal the entire location for the rest of FaZe Clan to come in with a cleanup. Tries to trade back. Unfortunately, not as swift as compared to FaZe Clan.
This is not from the pan to the fire anymore. This is something else entirely, man. I mean, to be bumped into FaZe Clan, a surprise attack by the backside, and then at the backside, and then even a horde of zombies out of nowhere when you're trying to fight against another team. I mean, this is just meant to be. This is no coincidence. Like MCR, I don't know how they're gonna turn the things around with only 1 player left, but if Cats can actually do it, or is it Okat? I don't know how to pronounce his name, by the way. I just call him Cats. That's it. Yeah, but if Cats can actually do it, then it will be a big, just a slight push. Even though it's tiny score by the end of the day, it's still a big achievement for MCR by the end of the day.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you know, like if he does get 1 elimination point at the very least, that will probably be sufficient as well. Because so far, like currently as it stands, Arkong is the one at the bottom with only that 300k. So at least you want to bump up those numbers to not be, you know, equivalent to where Arkong is going to be at. I'm not scrutinizing any team by any chance, but I'm just stating the fact that some of these numbers really do matter. Even if you walk out with that 7,000 right now, maybe it's worth it as compared to walk away with nothing at all. But at this point, there's not going to be evacuation areas in sight so early into the match. So, of course, there's still opportunities to be gained there from that Lone Ranger of MetroCeria. Meanwhile, Alex from the side of HLV looking to lock down Boom Esports by the quarter of school, I do believe. So we will see another battle taking place into these compounds in a short moment's notice. But for now, Boom Esports, they are all being set indoors. Do they actually know for the fact that HLV is currently swarming the area at the moment. And I'm surprised, that Zombie actually passed Alex and never bothered to say hello. Meanwhile, that one guy from MetroCeria has to deal with everything. That's not fair.
Yeah, I know, right? And the Zombie's like, I got something else to do, something better to do, man. Good luck with you and your work today. But yeah, I mean, sorry, not sorry for the side of Arkong. I mean, they're setting a good example for everybody else to see this. So definitely there can be a lot of reference when it comes to this tournament and this game especially for the viewers out there too, in case they're wondering what is going on with this tournament format. Now that they are actually the best example for us to refer to. But it's already night time and Zombies coming out, and this time no Zombie will ignore the players anymore. They are on frantic mode, and HLV a bit busy against Boom. Can they actually take Boom down, or Boom, will they surprise us once more? Because HLV, they do have some earnings in their pocket.
Yeah, just looking at how Bloom is actually strategizing against the rest of HLV's approach. They're all taking the upper half of the deck, or should I say the top floor at the moment. So they will be at least getting some glance onto some of all these lower ground area, hoping to lob some grenades through. Not going to be able to find any form of connection. The HLV side, they are looking to be very enthusiastic to take part in this battle, but they have to deal with the Zombies approaching from the bottom or from the entrances as well. So here we go. Grenades exchange. And HLV out in the open. This is going to be a missed opportunity for Fuya. And now it's going to be slowly being picked out. 1-for-1 trade. Sharp shots coming from the side of Espresso. Does find one back. So with that being said, can they find an opening to push through is going to be the question for the side of HLV. And now when the smokes pop in, it makes things so much harder to do. And now Amjad goes the next one to fall.
I really wish a Variant P suddenly appeared out of nowhere right now, just to make it even harder for both teams there. But Genie's actually spotted out a couple of players of Boom. This is going to go down the drain for Boom. They just had a big win just now, fighting back for Fuya. But the problem is they're losing so many men so fast. And the problem, a bigger side of it, it's going to be night time. If Zombie happen to be hitting them right now, it's going to be also an issue for them to pick up their members, their fallen members especially. They lost Pyro right now. There's going to be HLB already secured 2 eliminations in the back. And Boom left with only 2. Seeing as the MCR, they left with only 1. Can Boom actually have at least 1 player alive? Fuya trying to make a comeback, but he dropped himself down outside. And Fuya have to have a bit of HP reset down there. And it's going to be the last member stand. He can just walk away. Will he be willing to risk his life to pick up on Jago?
It seems like he wants to go in for the all-out trade against HLV. Still needs to be tossed right indoors, and even the Molotovs as well. Now that they already see what's really going through, that's going to be a 2-member to just swarm right into the area of play. They go for another knock. Oh, the perfect moment for Fuya. Will he be able to ace out in this battle? Shots now being traded right back. But Fuya looking for a climb. He gets the other angle against Ginny's. Does he actually know? He's now going for that grenade. And that should be good enough info from Espresso to trade right back. Won't be able to miss the mark.
Oh no,
it's
he
not
missed
going to
it.
having any form of idea at all. So close yet so far.
Oh, Nate, the random drop of Nate. Now, Genie taking the same time to actually revive Espresso. But Fuya, just a little bit of low drop and low toss there. Here comes the rush, but it's a bit too late now. They managed to reset themselves, but then, we can see this one coming. The moment they got the revival going on, a big win for Hellshell V, but unfortunately, they also have a daily cost after that fight. Only remains with 2 players, and hopefully they don't bump into any big bosses at the same time. Like, we saw 2 boss spawns at one time. If that happens, there's going to be a bit of problem. Plus, if they happen to be bumping to another team as well, that's going to be a bit of a headache. And we do know there's going to be a zombie horde coming up soon. Ginny, are you sure about the red box here right now?
I guess he's just going to go for it. Oh, quickly picking up all these valuable processor. Big win for the side of HLV. And that was just Ginny's acing out the entire squad of Boom Esports. And I gotta say, Choo-Choo, that's one of the best 4 versus 4 setups that we've seen in a long time.
Well, we feel like we're going back to Battle Royale, guys, for once. Just
Yeah,
once.
it does.
Just once in a lifetime kind of moment, Just saying, in case you guys missed those tournaments, don't forget to watch your PMSL today. But back towards the game we go. Like it or not, right now, Boom, unfortunately, after a big hull in their last map, it definitely kind of put a pause here when it comes to their progress after we saw what happened them against HLV. Now, I'm loving the fact that HLV kind of surprises. We always talk about ESTIR the Strong from Group B or Boom Esports from Group B, or even when it comes to the other group like Group D fellas or even Sam9 we always mention, but not enough of FHLV when it comes to Group C. FaZe Clan, yes, of course, we do know they are the top contenders, but HLV does surprise us today.
Yeah, but now with a 4-member strong squad of FaZe Clan, I'm not too sure if HLV can walk away out of this one, but they definitely have made a name for themselves. But Espresso quickly gets picked off. Now down to Ginny Boys. Can he reenact the same scene to take out an entire squad? And seems like that's not going to be the case. Shots already being fired by Sakura. Well, they give chase. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. The grenade's now being cooked up while Genie's trying to heal up. This is no place to heal, my friend, but he lost the grenade right over, but somehow survives, but not for long.
Well, at least we know how things turn out right now. HLV, at least they scored 4. Boom, not going empty-handed as well. They got some eliminations there. But it seems like the numbers are running out, and I do hope that last particular player of MCR will be okay till the end of it. There will be something for us to look forward to, because we're always looking for all the teams to extract themselves safely. But, these guys are very competitive players. We do know they have this esports heart deep inside of tucked into their corner of their chest too. So they want to go and fight and see if their firepower is enough. But in the case of Prime Team, he got distracted with a zombie just now.
Yeah. Another incident that happens on the outskirts when you're facing off all these battles in the midst of nighttime. So, of course, position compromised now. Prime is only left with 2 more members, which is honestly not too far off, but I believe they won't get anywhere close to FaZe Clan at the moment. And take a look at that. That boomer zombie running from quite afar somehow have been able to take a long sprint as well. Not too shabby after all for his size. So, of course, not shaming anything at all. It's a zombie that could actually run with quite some speed, I would say. Anyways.
Oh, yeah, that's a speedy one. There's also a speedy one. There's so many abnormals. Like, we always have the crawler. We have, if you guys play zombie games enough, just like I do, you guys know there's so many variants of zombies out there. And I love the fact they're putting it into the game. You guys should try out MetroCeria. I personally feel like I want to play the game sometimes, just because, we see like, you feel like, hey, that's 10,000 USD prize pool. If I actually can get a chance of playing just 20 minutes in a map, I probably would have done so. I mean, would you want to try and be my team here, Contra?
Oh, I absolutely would love to, but I'm just afraid that, I might be quite the burden when we used to do some of these matches. If I'm facing off against these guys in this current lobby, I don't think I make it out of here alive for most part. I'll just try my best to loot up and eventually move out of the way, look for an evacuation zone if I can. But, I'm absolutely going to be down for it. Now, what's also impressive while we were taking a look into the underground, Ukats, he had to row that mining cart all alone, but he's been able to at least gather currently about 500,000 at the very least.
It can actually do more, but I think it's we've seen how much of a player can actually have the loot value, but we gotta mind is the elimination of individual players, of course. So I think when it comes to how much your pocket can hold on the side of a player, especially a single player of MCR, even the players like Key and Naim that's left coming up from Prime Team, they can actually have more. Like, example, I think probably 1 million or 2 million probably going to be the best bet for each of the players. We've seen over 1 million usually most of the time. So 2 million, it's doable, it's possible. And we saw how Aria before actually have over 5 million worth of total value of loot. So that's something else. But the problem is, can you actually have it at the perfect time. And speaking of time, there's only 3 minutes left. There's not much time for these guys to eject themselves out of the map.
Yeah, there is an evacuation zone not too far off from where FaZe Clan's currently at. I believe that they should be happy enough with that 3 million that they've been able to stash throughout the course of multiple battles that they have been able to just eliminate so many other players out there. So they should be having a little bit of a slight edge against ETS current form with that 4.5 million, because ETS were not even going in for any form of battles throughout the course of this game. So it has been a great round for the side of FaZe Clan, especially when you consider this is Zombie Uprising, where, you know, a good average has been always at least upwards of 2 million or so. So getting 3 million and above has always been a great bonus. And now ETS, they finally get themselves some really, really open spacing for them to eventually close more than 5 million, perhaps.
Well, I mean, this is the Zombie Uprising. We do know for a fact that you won't get as much as Arctic Base. So it's pretty normal, I guess. Like the most we actually get from Zombie Uprising usually is around 5 to max probably 8 million. Not going to be more than that. So if for them to reach out to 4 mils, that's pretty normal. And it's pretty the standard right now these days. For FaZe Clan, it's pretty great as well. But you don't want to overstay yourself. Don't forget about the timing. We have 2 minutes on the clock here right now, and you might be surprised by another team. You know that for sure. And if you overextend yourself and overstay yourself, trying to be a bit more greedy, that might choke yourself by the end of the day. So no sabotaging the team, no more jeopardizing the entire team's value. Let's just jump out for the side of ETS. I think FaZe probably going to have the same idea. For MCR though, I want to see how much he managed to get the value for that one particular person. Thank you so much, observers. It's going to be cut. He didn't actually reach out to 1 million. That's really unfortunate because time is not on his side. But at least he found himself some extraction points. So there will be something out of this for the side of MCR as well.
Yeah, that's great news at the very least, to be able to survive to tell to the very, very end. So MetroCeria, they had struggles of their own throughout, you know, the course of all these matches where they've been having those run-ins from the early game. And this is probably the best out of what he could actually pull up. So good job for the side of Okats. Well, Jajame is still looking around. I mean, guy, do you have an extraction zone? If you do, then that's going to be fine. But for now, I believe it's just about perfect timing for the entirety of FaZe Clan to move out, because it's less than 1 minute left on the clock, and the rest of FaZe Clan, they should book out right now.
Yep. And that's going to be the last Zhao James, and we are at our first map between B and C, and that's going to be the second last map of the day, ladies and gents. Zombie Uprising has finished its run. It's going to be a total value of over 5 million for the team that finished off first, and that's going to be ETS, of course. But unfortunately enough, coming up from the side of Boom, how much they will be pushed down after this, and we talked about them and FaZe Clan as well. So can FaZe Clan make up the numbers and closing up the gap against none other than FLS or FELZ ID, who's not playing here right now, but they are definitely stretching out the gap in between them and the rest of the teams down there.
Yeah, it is definitely a very long shot for them to be able to match it within this one span of a round. But ETS, they have an excellent job surviving to really rack up plenty of all these Metro cash inside of all these high-value radiation area of the mining warehouse, and entirely to themselves. But all the action was actually happening over onto those corners of school, as well as on the outskirts. And by the end of it all, it was a really, really hefty run for inside of FaZe Clan. So still on the right track. But fellas, I don't know what they ate for breakfast, because they look so good throughout the runs that they've been playing. But also keep in mind, they played 4 games today. That's a reason why the numbers just look so inflated at the moment.
They probably ate zombies today. That's their breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That's going to be the case, yeah. But I agree. I mean, fellas, I definitely have, like I mentioned before, their fundamentals pretty strong when it comes to Metro Royale. Like we starting off yesterday, right? Metro Royale is not for everybody. It's not for the faint-hearted, and it's not also for the players that have no clue what's going to happen, just really don't know, have any knowledge of the map, because it's crucial for you. Every single second counts, because even though the timer do have a lot of time there for you to spend in the game, but you actually have max of 20 minutes only for you to eject out of the map here as soon as possible, and for you to get possible high value loot every time you open a box. There's a slight chance you're not going to get anything at all for the entire day. So it's down to a percentage of luck, but also you have to navigate yourself across the other side of a map as well, just to not bump into any teams. There's so many problems, you know. It's a stressful game, I know, but it's fun. Okay, there's so many problems you need to solve in the game here, but that's the beauty of Metro Royale.
Yeah, I think like casual Metro Royale has always been super fun, but when you make it esports, you know, when money is on the line, it is very stressful, where you need to plan strategies. You got to make sure that, you know, the coast is clear. You always have to check your 360 view of your surroundings. That makes it so hard to do. And then, of course, you don't know what the enemies are also plotting up. And with all these scheming going on, I feel like, you know, we saw a lot of drama. Day 2 looks a lot more refined in terms of the style of play, in terms of what the teams understand what they needed to do, which is why, you know, it's been a lot more efficient for the teams that want to go hunting. They absolutely executed very well. Something like what FaZe Clan has shown us in this wrapped up match that we just had moments ago. So I'm just thinking about, you know, teams that have been always playing it safely, and at the end of the day, getting stuck in between these early crossfire, they got to reroute one more time, or at least for this Fire Final match, because this is that map that if you do survive, there's plenty of offerings left for them to actually play out in Arkong base.
I agree, especially for the sake of MCR, right? They know what they're supposed to be doing in every single map, but I don't know, they have been super unlucky. It's either the start or the end. They just couldn't have a clean start. They couldn't have a clean finish as well. That's their biggest problem. It's not their problem. Things just happen sometimes, and it's really unfortunate. What a coincidence. But the worst case scenario always happens to MCR. But speaking of MCR, I agree. They definitely have to reroute themselves when it comes to their navigation throughout the map and try to re-strategize which direction they want to start off to. I mean, like, yeah, probably they cannot actually choose their spawning point, but they can actually try to reroute in a different angle entirely, like do something nobody else would have thought, like going to a lower value loot first at the back, just to take a bit longer rotation to avoid the early conflicts. Because these guys like FaZe Clan example, even in the case of who else that's pretty strong when it comes to the fire, Esports, even at that, the firepower is amazing. Like, these guys are trained for Battle Royale. Their individual skills are like, they barely whiff any bullets down there. They know how to pick and when to pick, which angle to look for when it comes to the flanking. It's just, you know, when you know that you are good at certain area but you're not really great at taking a fight, it's just best to avoid it completely, you know, instead of jeopardizing the entire team.
Yeah, I think like that's the best way to put it, right? When you do know that you have very, very strong opponents who are very skilled individuals, because whether they used to play professionally, or if they're content creators that have been putting out all these YouTube or any social media content that's like, oh, 30 frags in Sadok or 50k bombs in Erangel. You don't even know like how exactly to deal with these kind of scenarios, right? If you know that, you know, you're not as proficient or so, I mean, you can try and test out the strength of your squad versus the rest, but if it continuously happens, then I think like to play passively is not going to really hurt you as much as compared to, you know, bum rushing some other squads, eventually not walking away with any points at all. But, you know, I gotta give props to teams like HLV. You know, they have always tried their hardest. The players like Ate have always shown to be a very worthy contender. But other than that, we saw earlier Genie's really put on a show going up against Boom Esports as well as FaZe Clan early on. So HLV, kudos to them. They know where their strengths lie.
I mean, if they know that's their strength, they can play along, like, why not? The problem with certain teams that I noticed that they want to fix too many things at one time. Some days it's best to focus on one at a time and just make it, some progress rather than nothing at all. In the case of MCR, at least they have some progress. At least they finish off. With one person, it's still considered as finish off a round with some points by end of today. But when it comes to the rankings, we still have FaZe Clan taking the lead just now because they have 6 eliminations, not just those team earnings as well. ESTIR the Strong, despite they have better earnings than the side of FaZe Clan, but unfortunately nobody wants to bump into them. But also it's not bad news for the side of ETS because it shows that they can just go and play it safe. This is one of the best examples, even Prime Team just now. The best example to look up to when it comes to, it's okay to not to fight any other players out there because you can spend the time to just go for the loot instead.
Yeah, it's been pure efficiency being displayed by the side of ESTIR the Strong. Meanwhile, FaZe Clan, they managed to overtake because of those elimination points that has been added up, and it will be Sphinx to claim the very first Chosen Ones title as they brought in a fortune of 3.6 million into the bank account of ETS. Well, virtual bank accounts, of course. Metro Bank. Is there a Metro Bank in this matchup?
Maybe.
Probably. So, of course, other than that, they could. I don't know. These days, people use e-wallets, so perhaps this is what things can actually do as well. But no eliminations whatsoever for the entire squad of ETS. So it's just a bulk of income from the hands of Sphinx. So with that being said, let's take a look at how things actually went. Take a look at that. ETS, clear passage, first one to move right through, and was uncontested throughout. But keep an eye on Boom because everyone wanted to battle at Garnet Maison.
I think they know for a fact Garnet Maison is also one of the places that do have some high loot over there. But I love the fact that ETS, they don't overstay themselves in Mine Warehouse just in case there's somebody else down there, like how Semna actually plays. It's actually a good mindset what ETS actually have because, when you overstay yourself, you're being a bit too greedy, you want to just capitalize over that one particular compound for the longest time, you actually will expose to multiple teams at the same time. So that's actually a good strategy that everybody can learn from the side of ETS. They're playing it super safe, but it's well worth it as long as they keep it consistent. But when it comes to the numbers, Velos ID, nobody still can take down from their podium spot because Boom Esports, unfortunately, bowing out quite early just now, but still, at least they have one more map to go, and this is the most important map, Arctic Base.
True enough, FaZe Clan can reclaim that number 2 spot because Boom Esports have been able to push them down in these past couple of matches. Now, taking over onto the second page, HLV is getting closer and closer into the top 6. Meanwhile, Prime Team will also need a big value round here in Arctic Base to be able to topple down HLV. MetroMini still inching into the challenge against Prime Team. MetroCeria now adds it to a total of 2.6 million. And of course, the rest of the squads will definitely have to work much harder heading into the upcoming weekend, as we currently see big wins for Sem9, FLS, Boom, as well as ETS throughout the course of the day. There's only one more victory to claim for this map of Arctic Base.
And Arctic Base is where I think Boom can actually try to push 20 mil. If they actually manage to push up to 20 mil, maybe they can overtake number 1 spot by the end of this round. But you know what? I'm not gonna do. Well, should I? I'm not gonna do the pirate. I think I'm gonna give it to Conrad today. We're gonna do just a normal ads here. PUBG Mobile Airdrop Carnival is officially open. Call your friends to join a pirate bash. Explore the Ocean Odyssey now team area, the Pirates Booty Island, and collect airdrops token and head to Airdrop Carnival in-game event. Upgrade your airdrop crate to level 5 for a guaranteed set or emote of your choice. Don't forget to jump into the game from August 16 to 18 to open your airdrop crate. Have a great day!
Yeah, I'm having an absolute blast and a great day as well. But you know what? You can also get your hands onto the beautiful Galadria X-Suit and advanced upgradable MG3, currently available till the 30th of September. So make sure you join the event and unlock coupon and limited outfits awards. So make sure you get your hands on the beautiful X suit.
I think our director couldn't hold it in anymore. It's like, what's wrong with these two people, man? What's with that? It's like he probably would trembling. Like, I don't want to hear these weird voices anymore in this ads, but I have to do it anyway. But you know, that is something for you guys because it's your tournament too, guys. So don't forget to stay tuned with PUBG Mobile. There's so many exciting things happening. There's always something new happening as well. We have a new mode coming into PUBG Mobile here, none other than Metro Royale, because I think me and FaZe Clan also talked about having zombies, and it's fun to actually have it finally in Metro Royale. But unfortunately, not many people actually know about this mode yet. So you guys that happen to be in the comment section, don't forget to tell your friends, try out the Metro Royale, because who knows, in the future we'll have these more events coming up soon, and maybe it will be in sort of a total new esports scene that will surprise us in the future, you know.
That's right. And, you know, like, I really do hope that we get even more teams to participate into more and more Metro Royale battles in the future, because we probably might be seeing a whole lot more of Metro Royale esports if, you know, the hype is buzzing into, you know, these upcoming months. For, of course, Metro Royale is a limited time event, and I hope that it becomes permanent. So with that being said, you know, we are already down to our final match of the evening between Group B versus Group C, and within 10 seconds time, we'll see who will claim the final win of this matchup in Metro Royale for the PUBG Mobile Super League Southeast Asia.
It's going to be the last map of the day, ladies and gents. Can Boom push their numbers up the last minute? And can FaZe Clan also match up to the numbers of Fellas ID? Or will Fellas ID just dominate over the entirety of Metro Royale? But first and foremost, it's always going to be the question who will be taken out first, because Prime and Boom seems to be moving in the same direction. And both of these teams aiming for the underground tunnel to go to missile silo as fast as they can. But if two teams having the same idea, that's not going to be great for both of them, don't they?
Yeah, especially when they're heading into lease and outposts just across the corner. So there is plenty of wide area to play, but look at how wide out in the open some of these players could be. At least for Boom Esports, they have the high grounds advantage to scout out in the round. So Prime definitely are a prime target. No pun intended, but it is what it is.
Sorry, not sorry. Hashtag. But, you know, back to it, Stone Cold. There's no Steve Austin. It would be funny if they actually have one of them players named Steve Austin as well. Or maybe one Stone and one Cole and then Steven Austin. That would be a nice name too. But for Prime, like you mentioned before, will they be a prime target for the other teams, of course? But for me, I personally rooting out for MCR. Because I do really, for once, for the first time, we get to see them finish off as a 4. I don't think we ever see them finish off a 4 that much when it comes to MCR. They always had a good general idea of what they want to do, but it's just unfortunate for them when it comes to either the start or the ending, and that's it. Okay, I really just want to see, for me, the mission is for this last map to see MCR finish off as a 4, that's it.
Yeah, at least for now, they are off to a good start with 400k in the back already. And now, heading into the tunnels, we're already seeing the passage being blockaded by a hail of fire. So it is Zhao Jiami just trying to set up some of all these zoning potential between them as well as ETS. And ETS, I'm not too sure whether if they really want to fully commit, because up against FaZe Clan, it can get a little bit rowdy. But, you know, looking at the Thai qualifiers, ETS have always been partaking in team fights as well when there is an opportunity for them to either gatekeep teams or so. So they might just be happy to try to zone away FaZe Clan before making it deeper into the missile silo. But, you know, perhaps it's not really worth the long hurdle over onto these deep passages. So they just go up ahead and be one of the early movers into the sector of the radiation zone with those high value loot.
I think they're probably going to go and implement the same strategy like how they did in the Zombie Uprising map, where, yeah, they will be one of the first team to be in Mission Silo, but they won't overstay themselves too much. They probably already allocate themselves, like, example, you have 5 to 10 minutes to be in a Mission Silo, and then they will exit out, because we do know Mission Silo do have a bit more entry and exit out compared to the side of Zombie Uprising in that Mines Warehouse. So there's definitely more chances for them to get out and avoid these conflicts against FaZe Clan, yeah, unless they happen to be bumping into them way early on. But ETS, I love the way they play. They don't overstay too long, just loot up as long as you can. Like, maybe they're going to put up like maybe 5 to 10 minutes max out for that team, and just gonna leave and go for a compound that's entirely contradicting where Mission Silo is probably playing around the shoreline, where there's gonna be least amount of chances for them to bump into another team.
Yeah, and look at this. Boom Esports immediately opens up a golden crate, and this
There's
is
plenty
gonna
of
be
stuff.
yeah, and they're just looking to bank in some huge margins right now, closing close to $1 million at the moment. ETS, on the other end, has already reached 3.8 in the short span of time. Now, everyone's really keeping their hands busy on these boxes, whereas Kim Tony is hunting for a little bit of blood, I do believe. Prime is about to arrive into the area of Missile Silo as well, but they're still within the tunnels. Maybe this is going to be an ambush being set. I'm not going to be too certain because they haven't really appeared into the area of play around this Missile Silo just yet. So perhaps just waiting for these teams to finish each other out, and when they do hear overwhelming noises, maybe they will take part later on.
Here comes shots, gun fired. Definitely kind of overheard by the other team, just I think it was Prime. But ETS, they won't overstay themselves here too long. They will leave after they heard those gunfires, yeah, being shot by these guys. 7 million in their hands, it's too much to gamble, yeah. FaZe Clan's put out Prime players down, like we mentioned, Prime targeted AR, and they have been playing it not too safe here. FaZe Clan taking advantage whenever they can. It's going to be one first loss on the side of Prime team. And Prime having some difficulty with only 3 players. And plus, there's 2 teams around the corner. So Prime, if they want to leave, this is going to be the best time here. They're definitely going to have a bit of a U-turn there. But ETS, I don't think they want to overstay themselves as well. I'm waiting for them to exit out anytime now.
Yeah, and I think like it's the safer option for the side of Prime, despite them not really getting those high value of loots. You could always look around all these other outer layers of Missile Silo in order to still get a couple of hundreds into the bag. And they're just going to take this card, move not too far off, and will still be within that Missile Silo range. So they're still committing this. It's just that they are absolutely avoiding those fights. So smart call coming from Prime, but maybe they should not appear too early as well, because they don't know where exactly some of the members of ETS is currently at. So it will take a while before we actually get ourselves committed into another battle, but ETS, they're already hitting that 10 mil mark in a moment's time, needing another 500,000 more to go.
I'm trying to find an exit out. Yeah, they're definitely getting an exit out now. They know for a fact it's not worth finding these guys. Yeah, it's going to be wasting their time as well. Well, FaZe Clan, sadly, nobody gonna help him to fight against these bosses, these bosses, and it's gonna be one of the commandos, yeah, Snowy Boy. That's gonna be a sad scene, but lucky enough for him, they made it in time. So, Snowy Boy will be revived for now, but the side of Prime, I think they will have to resort to find a different space and also a different place to loot up. But ETS, I think they're already not around Mission Silo anymore. They're probably already underneath the underground tunnel, exiting out with their mine carts down there, taking a bit of a row. But FaZe probably will dominate over this side of the Mission Silo. But I think most of the high valuable loot already taken by ETS. I don't know how much more left for the rest towards the side of FaZe Clan.
Yeah, I really do wonder if there's still going to be some bosses that they have not cleared out just yet, because ETS, they took a very careful approach. And with 9 million, I think that at least a good majority of the plays has been looted up already. So let's see what else does the missile silo actually offer later on. But back towards the side of HLB, they are now cashing into 1.3 mil for the moment. Shots fired from the side of I'm Jago, just to give a little bit of signal warning towards the rest of FaZe Clan. And Tickle's FaZe Clan, interesting position. They're all spread out very widely. And Zoe Boy, he's all alone. What's going to happen right now is going to be a push coming in from the side of Fuya. And we saw what Fuya could do when they were going up against HLB back into the zombie uprising. This is where it draws to a very tight angle, challenging Sakura and Suipo at the same time, and the grenade connects.
What an angle just now, how the way they tossed the projectile of it as well. Perfectly calculated, but unfortunately for Boom, oh man, they are so close. They're having such a good run here today. Unfortunately, 2 times in a row, it seems like a bit of a trouble for them to catch up to Villa's idea. And as we're talking about FaZe Clan, one of their highest contender for the second spot as well. And FaZe Clan, they're really aiming for the eliminations. Yeah, they definitely got earlier eliminations against Prime before, and now aiming for Boom as well. Now it's got themselves 3 eliminations. There's going to be 900,000 worth of value just by those eliminations. If you add another 2 more, that's going to be over almost probably 2 million by end of this run. Plus, they've got themselves mission solid for the rest of the time they can actually loot up from. They already cost themselves over 5 million worth of loot right now. But if Boom can actually turn things around and surprise them, maybe they did it before, I mean.
Yeah, they could potentially do it again, but maybe they have to also consider backstabbing certain teams in order to get not only those elimination points, but also to steal some loot. But that is not going to be a golden moment for them to do so at the moment. That goes down, and that's going to be another challenge towards the lower end. Coming from inside Sakura, so low HP, was calling it in for backup, and Kim Tony arrives perfectly on time, and these loots will be stolen.
ETS, one of them eject out. I think one of the highest value player already tried to be safe, not to be caught up by the crossfire between all the other teams. I think it's Sound High will try to push his luck here. So he will try to go for the frag. He got lesser loot on himself right now. If he drops himself that, it's okay. It's not going to be worth too much for the team. But if he can actually come and get one player, just try out his luck. Maybe he bumping to one of the players of any players of high loot, for example, like FaZe Clan. Then maybe it can double the amount for the team. Now, this is going to be another strategy to be played in Metro Royale. I love the fact they have these ideas. They have so many strategy, very creative, coming up from ETS. It's quite refreshing, really.
Yeah, I really do love what ETS is really bringing on the table. Like, they are literally like the team that says, loot first, fights can happen any moment. And when that fight happens, we will go all out. It doesn't matter if they do drop one member, because they know that if they can eliminate the entire squad, that's more loot for them. So smart ways to play about. And speaking of which, it's going to be FaZe Clan still in the missile silo, found themselves a boss to just clear even more. So they should be racing up those numbers against ETS. Look at the margins. It's so close, so tight. It's just about 1 million plus to separate these two squads from Thailand.
Now, I love how, you know what, like how ETS plays as well. Like, example, if they don't, if not able to exit out, like the players being finished off, at least they're still going to cash in something by end of the day. It's not like they're being booted out due to the timer, right? They found a loophole in the Metro Royale itself. Like, okay, we're going to get around probably 5 million in one particular player and push him back home and just eject himself out of the map. And then, if the timer seems to be not working out right, and they couldn't find the last extraction point because they're too busy fighting against another team, then if he can actually secure another elimination points, then if he actually failed to extract himself, that might actually cause the team to. But if he died, at least the whole team still got something out of the fight, right? Or the entirety of the map. It's a bit of a gamble, but it's worth investing, really.
It really is. And so far, nongYing, however, just trying to play as safely as possible. I believe they've managed to spot out some members of ETS. Oh, I see what they're plotting here. Choo-choo. This might
definitely.
happen.
This is what I was talking about.
Yeah.
They're definitely going for the hunt here. And they're probably going to be 2 players of ETS. There's going to be not too much of a loot. They're probably going to have some around 500,000. That's going to be it. Not going to be more than 1 million, of course. Because right now they have 10 millions in the back. I don't know which one of them having the highest value right now. But the one goes in the front definitely not going to be the most. Probably just going to check things out for the team. Yeah, 73,000. He got himself an extraction point. Now he's going to test things out for the team first. Just to check the clear view and just to make sure there's nobody else. But he caught himself another player of Prime. Oh, but I don't know how much Salva actually has on himself. Cool.
Oh,
this is not great.
2 members just dropped like that. He does actually check some of these dumpster.
I want to see how much Salva actually have.
My goodness. The plan is working out for the side of Prime. And just like that, they negate ETS from getting out of this matchup. And ETS now loses 2 of these members. And take a look at that, Prime.
No.
They're just going to be able to rack up those huge margins for the moment. And I don't know, can they actually contest against these 3 members of Prime?
This is smart from Prime. This is gatekeeping at his best, man, at extraction point. Who would have thought? I mean, like, it's a bit of against the odd here when Prime trying to just gatekeeping. We talked about this before. You can also play a dirty trick that's going to be just gatekeeping on the extraction point here, which they are actually doing for Prime. But there's a slight chance that nobody else will actually go through the extraction point. There's a slight chance of it because there's so many other extraction points. But this seems to be they're hitting the jackpot. And they got one of the highest value of ETS play, which was Sal just now.
You know, I've seen documentaries of people going dumpster diving, but this is way too efficient. That's the last of it. That's the last member of ETS. There's only 1 player that ejected out.
Ooh,
And
at
all
least
of these valuables are now belonging to Prime.
they were close to 10. They were like, how much was it before? Around 12 million, I think, around there somewhere. That's definitely going to be more than 10 millions. But at least this is why they need to eject that one particular player out first. That player worth 7 million by himself.
Wow. This dumpster play just he's given them millions and millions of Metro cash in play, and they're gonna go in for a reset, hoping for another team to fall prey to their trap. They're just continuing to do so. I love
They are the
this
lazy
strategy.
team, man. They are the lazy team that don't want to go for the loot. But I don't think there's going to be anybody else crossing paths here because we do have only 3 minutes remaining on the clock.
Oh, you never know, Choo-Choo. There might just be another squad that actually makes their way here, and by
No
then,
way.
maybe they will be able to find even more. Now, how much has Prime stolen away? Because from what we do know, maybe that member coming from the side of ETS that has basically evacuated has majority of all these numbers with them. So Prime perhaps will be able to secure at the very least half, right? That is what I really want to find out, because at the moment, they stash about 2.2 million from doing so.
If they can actually caught FaZe by surprise. But if they're not being careful, though, it might be the other way around. But I don't think they feel like it's worth waiting for anymore. They're going to eject themselves out. So that's going to be Prime getting out despite they lost 1 man early on. And it's going to be now HLV coming into with 2.8 million worth of loot by Alex, Genies, and Express right now. If it happens to be 2 teams going for the same extraction point, it will be fun to watch in the very last minute too.
Oh, yeah, that is something that I've been looking forward to heading into these group stages. You know, we've seen a couple during the qualifiers, which was too dramatic to the point that none of these teams have managed to actually get to evacuate. So it is something that majority of these teams in the group stages are trying their level best to avoid. HLV, though, are they actually walking into the same area? It doesn't seem to be the case. So HLV should be absolutely safe. 2 more minutes left, ladies and gentlemen, as the final round draws to a closure. And right now, FaZe Clan, unhinged, unhindered, got themselves 5 points. And I do hope that FaZe Clan does find that evacuation point, because
No, not
thinking
NCR,
right now,
please. I was hoping for them to be safely extracted. Prime! Ah!
this dump to strat, it's too evil. But it's working out so well. But even
Leave
so,
those guys alone. It's not worth fighting for it. Their value is way lower than the sort of Prime right now, but they're making it so difficult now. Naeem is playing it naughty right now. But don't forget about 1 minute on the clock, by the way.
yeah, I guess like that member of MCR, I mean, Okas, you got to just get into another extraction point. There's another one all the way to his back, but how far is it? I do not know. Okas, though,
Less than a
trying
minute.
to go in for a full push. I think that Alex might be able to eject out of this match. And yes, he does. Only 2 more members left for the side of HLV to get out of this matchup. And that should be safe enough over onto the center.
Now, for the side of HLV, 2 more players at MCR. They need to eject now. We have only 30 seconds left on the clock. I don't know if that's going to be a mind game by Prime just now when they open fire before they eject themselves out. Now, MCR definitely kind of hesitant to take the extraction point. Just take it now. Okay, we made it through. Congratulations, I got my target. This is going to be a happy ending for me. MCR finally ends up for their well and alive. We had a good run, but unfortunately for Boom. Wow, FaZe Clan, really a strong contender on this one.
They definitely have shown up huge for 2 rounds in a row, getting back-to-back wins in these rounds from B versus C. So with that being said, how much more do they really need to chase up against the rest of Boom Esports, as well as, of course, sitting at the top, Fellas Indonesia, from the last time that we saw the leaderboard. But safe to say, Boom Esports should be overtaken. So it's a bare minimum of at least 2nd place finish for now for the side of FaZe Clan. But overall, massive improvements for MetroCeria as well as all the other guys. So I'm happy about this matchup.
I'm loving the fact that HLV also kind of, they actually pull themselves together, have more confidence to fight against the teams out there, despite, like we do know, these guys do love some brawls, and the team's example here, Boom, even FaZe Clan, but they fought back for the side of HLV. Definitely something that we're looking forward to when it comes to the next couple of weeks during the group stage later on. But nobody seems to be able to shake Fellas Indonesia, despite you can see that Boom trying to come back. They came back strong in one map, and the rest of the map seemed to be invisible for them because they couldn't make it through. They're always being targeted by these teams, or they're picking the fight that seemed to be a double blade sword.
Yeah, I gotta say that has been the form of an instance heading into those matchups where, you know, it has been a very difficult circumstances heading up for Boom when they kicked off their round, but they have finally gotten back in the groove, being a lot more confident of how they approach some of all these team fights, and also how they have been able to actually plan things through. But speaking of planning, though, that ambush from Prime against ETS,
That was
of course,
smart.
it is gonna leave some sour notes on the side of ETS, but that play was absolutely genius from the side of Prime team.
But
we want to
I-
see more of that.
But I feel like ETS also C10 step forward as well, because despite they lost that 3 men that are worth around like probably 5 million in total, they already pushed up one of the highest value players out. We watched around 7 million just now. So they definitely play it smart, knowing the fact that, you know, we put everything on this one particular player, and it's okay for you to eject now. You've done your job. It's okay. Thank you so much. But the rest of the other 3 taking a bit of risk to gamble it out just to extend their stay. But the way that I love them playing dirty, though, that was really good coming up from Prime Team. And that's something that we're looking forward as well for the next couple of weeks in the future. Maybe there's somebody else will try to implement the same tactics.
Yeah, and you know, they almost caught out MCR at the very same time by doing so. Imagine taking out 2 teams by having that dumpster strat. Like, that is too cheesy. But I'm not sure if these teams will just go ahead, look back at the VODs and say, okay, they hide in the dumpster. Let's check the dumpsters again if that, like when we do head into this area. Which, you know, to be fair, ETS did check, but they just couldn't fade back because when you're in the dumpster, you are kind of also covered with a little bit of protection, so it's not so easy to take it out.
I think it's best for them to save some mollies just to check around the area of the extraction points next time. You know, you may be not able to check all the corners because you get the surprise attack coming up right in front of your face. It's best for them to save a couple of mollies just to clear up the corners before they go for the extraction point. I think that's going to be the best bet for now.
So you want to see some dumpster fire? You just throw some Molotovs
That's the
and
best thing that can happen, man.
Yeah, I think like that is the safest way to go about, provided, you know, if this team does not have any fights happening in the early game, so they save those Molotovs for that late game hustle. So I think like what you mentioned makes so much more sense, you know. But I guess like this kind of strats is usually one off or so, unless I don't know how many more dumpsters are in the entire field of the Arkong base. We'll have to start counting to see if there's going to be more.
Another trick is just go for the extraction point that has no dumpster in it. They have a clear view of whatever there is there. Unless, like, even if there are some structures like trees or even the terrain itself, right? At least there's some distance between you and the extraction point. Then you go and face check into the dumpster. That's a bit more risky than a bit of a distance kind of shot. So still avoidable in certain case with the smoke.
Yeah. That definitely is very, very doable. But what a day has been, Chuchu. Like, it's been so interesting on how, you know, we have so many different play style from each respective group. And this one definitely takes the cake. Prime, absolutely wildest. But it was FaZe Clan with a whopping 11K to be able to actually close this round with those high-flying colors, with 5 elimination backed up by the end of the round, so in order to really boost the numbers against ESTIR Strong. But what I'm also impressed is that ETS, you know, with that couple of members that still survive, they still bring in that 8 million. So that is still a crazy feat despite losing those members.
Yep, that one particular player, that's just how much he's worth. That 8 million is just that one particular player, just so you know. That's why they don't really mind, because they already have enough and just to maintain their stature when it comes to the overall rankings later. But for Prime Team, my, that's so cheeky. But on the side of FaZe, here boy, this is no surprise to us anymore. The player is earning over 5 million. Now that also shows that the one particular player is earning, but the side of ETS is way higher than Sui Boy as well.
Yeah, and so far, at least for FaZe Clan, they have always relied on Sweet Boy to carry as many things that he can on some of these packages. And Sweet Boy, you don't really see him too much on the map because he's doing too good of a job hiding as well as getting away from danger. So FaZe Clan, I think like as a unit themselves, they are very, very efficient on those early game battles, which we saw back in Game 1, Game 2. A little bit more of a safe route, and even despite that, they have been able to still lock horns with at least 2 different squads heading to this matchup. So let's take a look again on how FaZe Clan has been able to claim another big haul.
Well, I personally feel like FaZe Clan is very straightforward when it comes to strategy, right? But the one that's really creative is going to be between these two groups. We have to agree the fact that Group C versus Group B actually stirs up the best creative plan from the teams that we probably know that might happen someday, but the way they angle it up for us is just so perfect. Like how Prime Team just using the dumpster as a cover up, and also how they just put up one player of ETS that have so high value that eject him out just for the sake of safety. There's so many ways to play Metro Royale, but fellas, ID knows the best when it comes to the fundamentals. They're still taking the lead. So huge that FaZe Clan still have to put so much work in it.
Yeah, speaking of that, that requires at least an Arctic base win. Another one to add to the tally for FaZe Clan to actually see any form of chance up against Fellas ID, and also to provide to see whether if FaZe ID will have maybe lesser game time coming into all these matches, but that's to be discussed heading into week number 2. Meanwhile, of course, I'm satisfied with the top 6. We have very high caliber players coming in from all these respective squads that's currently on the screen. Now, nongYing, they're also sliding downwards, so they need to start worrying about really securing those loots to close out these rounds.
AKG, time to wake up. I mean, it's always going to be, there's always possibility of coming back. That's what I love about Metro Royale compared to, the other formats of PUBG Mobile, of course. But when it comes to Metro Royale, one particular map can change so much, especially Arctic base. We've seen double digits is an understatement. How many digits we cannot even count right now, but multi-millions. Teens are probably 20 million in Arctic base alone, so it's still doable for AKG as long as they can pull it off and exit out. And their problem is always finding those extraction points.
Yeah, they're always down for a fight, and it has proved to be very, very costly because maybe there was some slight lack of coordination. But here we are as we go into the bonus point ranking as we conclude week 1 of the group stages. FaZe ID takes the maximum point of 20, FaZe Clan with 17, and 15 for Boom to wrap up the top 3. But take a look at the margins. It's definitely a little bit looking pretty tightly because of how the system works for those of the teams that may have positioned from 7th all the way to 10th, or should I say 12th, because moving into the next week, they want to do a whole lot better, so they definitely have to review on some of the mistakes or even what really went well for each respective group in order to rise up. But here are the matches that will be happening next weekend, as once again, we'll bring you the same maps. It's A, B, AC, and CD to play out.
And we have a new map coming up when it comes to next week, week number 2, which is going to be Misty Port. I assume that's going to be the same grouping for every single week. I don't know if there's going to be a bit of a shuffle in it, but this week 1, pretty much warming up for all the teams up there, know what their standard should be when it comes to week 2 and following weeks. So definitely we'll have something else in the future when it comes to week number 2. I'm looking forward, especially with the implementation of Misty Port for the next one. We have no more Arctic base. So Arctic base, we're going to have to say goodbye. That 20 million map, there you go. But next week, Contra, we're gonna have a different kind of map, but this is gonna be the wrap of the day. Thank you so much, Contra, and see you guys in the next week. Hopefully same time, same place. Bye bye.